Hello, my name is Alan, and today, in this afternoon, actually, in my time, I am facilitating a session of Hit the Nazi, Retrieve the Ark. This is my drift of Rich Rogers' game, Hit the Streets, Defend the Block. His supers are replaced with pulp archetypes and 1930s heroes confronting Nazis and their devious anti-democratic plots. We also replace his, in my experience, unique neighborhood building process from the original rules with episode creation. So we will be aiming, we'll begin one episode in media res, he grandly said. And then I will hope that we will have a climactic episode that follows from that. So we're taking our keys here from 1930s pulp serials, you know, it's a no-brainer, the Indiana Jones franchise. Though, you know, Rocketeer or something similar would also fit into type. I am going to just refer everyone to the cats tab of the character keeper, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Oh, I should have said, sorry, my pronouns are he, him. This game was organized by the Gauntlet online gaming community. We are an international community of online RPG gamers. And specifically, this one shot is arranged as part of Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend. These are approximately seasonal weekends where we encourage people to come and play with us who maybe don't know much about the Gauntlet, to experience what we think is quite a positive table culture, but also to encourage people to get online, particularly over the last 15 months or so. That's been quite a, keeping up with gaming groups has been a challenge, and those of us that have been online for some years want to encourage people to give it a go. This is then a game about pulp heroes confronting the nefarious agents of the Third Reich and stopping them in their tracks. Time, it's that kind of slightly woolly 1930s, say 1935, prohibition has ended, but Hitler has consolidated his grip on Germany. But where we depart from, well, my view is that we depart from the fiction, from the reality into fiction, is that it is his intention to create a 1,000-year Reich. And in order to do so, he has dispatched agents to all corners of the world in search of artifacts to harness the arcane and give the Nazi Party power over the fate of the world. And of course, it is only our heroes who can stand in their way. Play is going to begin in media res, as I say, in New Gauntlet City. New Gauntlet City is a Gauntlet shared continuity where usually superhero games go on. Often in the modern day. But we will begin in New Gauntlet City, where unknowing dupes of the Nazis are perpetually up to no good. We will discover shortly who's doing what to whom and why. And in play, as we collaborate to agree what's amiss, and then play to find out how these pulp heroes are going to thwart whatever evil fascist schemes they uncover. In terms of tone and subject matter, while we have Nazis and the occult in play, the tone of this game is distinctly 15 plus. The obvious media touchstones are the Indiana Jones franchise. It isn't intended that we explore overly gruesome or adult themes in this session, but just to make sure that we've got a shared understanding of the kind of play we're aiming for, we're going to be using a set of safety tools. We're going to be playing with the X card. Now, I've played with a couple of these players before, but just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, the X card is a way to just interrupt the fiction. No matter what's going on in play, if you play the X card, we'll just stop. Now, the best way to get me to notice the X card is actually to make an X, because I tend to focus on the video in front of me rather than the chat. Alternatively, type it into the chat, just type X card. Can I say, if anybody notices that in the chat and I don't appear to react to it, please draw my attention to it. Now, playing the X card, let me stress, you know, this is not necessarily big stuff. I have had the X card played where I had created an NPC on the fly and given them a name. And it turned out that was the name of one of the players, I think brother or close friend. And when that NPC began to do some slightly unpleasant things, they felt that was a bit uncomfortable. So played the X card, we changed the name of the NPC, moved on. But let me be clear, when you play the X card, I won't inquire why. It's just been played. I may ask you how far back in the fiction you want me to rewind, so then I can play forward and avoid what made you uncomfortable. Because sometimes in role-playing games, we want to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but we want to make that uncomfortable in a good way, not a bad way. So anytime you feel uncomfortable in a bad way, use the X card. And let me be clear, if something comes up and you think, oh, I'm okay with that, and then it comes up later on and you think, actually, maybe I'm not, just because you didn't play the X card earlier doesn't mean you can't play it later for the same stuff. Okay, that's not a problem. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, play the X card. In an effort to avoid the need to use the X card overly, we're using lines and veils. And if I can refer the players to the lines and veils tab, a line is something that simply won't come up in the fiction. And at the minute, I'm looking at a short list that goes sexual assault and violence, torture by the player characters. That just doesn't seem to me to be fitting with the genre. The death or endangerment of children, racism and Nazi ideals. So none of those are going to come up in play. If the players want to add any other lines, please go ahead and do so. Veils, they represent things that could come up in play, but if they do, we will draw a discrete curtain across them. Now, something for me that would be a veil, because I'm old and British, is consensual sex. As soon as we get into the making out stage, I will draw a discrete curtain. Currently, it looks like we have veils on domestic violence, torture by NPCs, because we always want to have these nefarious Nazis having the option to be doing nasty things in the background, but we won't see it on screen. As I say, consensual sex and making out. Suicide is currently veiled. And let me stress, folks, if you want to turn a veil into a line, go ahead and do it, right? These are just my kind of starting points here. And then the other one is ask first. I'll be honest with you. I tend to treat ask first as a dotted line. I tend to treat them as something I'm not going to bring it in. And, for instance, it seems to me betrayal between player characters is absolutely unlikely to come up. So I'm going to put a line on that. That just doesn't fit the genre. Ditto violent conflict. Animal abuse, I'm very happy to veil that. If somebody wants to make it more secure than that, by all means do. And then drug abuse, overdose, romance with PCs or NPCs, again, we'll check in about all of that stuff. I'm noticing cannibalism as a positive is ask first. I'd forgotten that was up there in this list. I'm going to put a line through that. I don't think cannibalism is ever going to be positive in this genre. And I don't think that it's an appropriate threat given its kind of implications. So that's what we're looking at. Anything else you want to add to that? There is a column for interested. So if there's something you particularly like to see that isn't covered by something else, put it in there and I will endeavor to insert it into the fiction or invite you to do so. So that's lines and veils. The other safety tool we're working with is the open door. The open door is there for a number of reasons, okay? If the doorbell goes, for goodness sake, go answer it. Yeah, life goes on away from these screens. The open door is there for you to go through to get on with life if life inserts itself. The open door is also there that if something does get a bit tense and you feel that you need a breather, I will be inserting breaks, short breaks, approximately every hour. But, feel free to just take a break. It's great if you can put in the chat, be right back or back in 5 minutes or whatever. We'll play on and then reinsert you in the fiction when you come back. But if you need a breather at any point, the open door is there to be used. But perhaps the most important use of the open door is it's there if this doesn't turn out to be the game you thought it was. going to be. If this turns out to be a game that you're genuinely not enjoying, for goodness sake, folks, please don't feel obliged to stay, right? The open door is there for any of us to use. If this turns out not to be the game you'd hoped for, then, you know, nobody wants to waste an afternoon or a morning in a game that's not fun, okay? Hopefully, you know, if you're feeling it's not going in the right direction, I will endeavor to check in about halfway through that the tone, everything else is fitting with your hopes. So, you know, if you're not feeling good about the game, then feel free to raise it. But in the end, if it's not the game for you, please don't feel obliged to stay, right? Nobody's chaining you to that table. Finally, we're playing with the Gauntlet community's code of conduct. It's a great document. For me, I sometimes summarize it as don't be a dick. But I suppose the more the less flippant approach would be to say that it's about being respectful to everyone around the table. And I put some of the things that, to me, that means things like not talking over other players, not inserting your character into a scene that someone else has set up unless you're invited in, avoiding interrupting, or sometimes offering advice unless it's asked for. I like to think I give people an opportunity to contribute to the narrative. And if somebody needs some thinking time, you know, let's give them the thinking time. Help share the spotlight, try to keep the spotlight moving. And when a scene has run its course or appears to be becoming a bit repetitive, if I intervene just to ask for clarification, help me move the narrative on. That's the kind of thing it means to me. So there's the sense of the safety tools we're using. The game, let us proceed. So we are expecting a fourth player as soon as he gets back. He's got something going on he's currently out through that open door, folks. He's going to come back in a bit. So let's introduce our players and their characters. I think, as if by magic, I have summoned him. We'll wait for him to come in and then do the introductions. You see how effective this open door is? Somebody's on the other side of it. You say, you're coming in? In they come. It's brilliant. There he is. There he is. With what I would swear is a Star Wars background, but surprise, surprise. Will, I've just been through cats and safety tools. You and I have played together often enough that if it's okay with you, I won't repeat them. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we were about to do introductions. I'm going to go right to left. That gives Will a chance to draw breath because he is furthest left. Oh, now where is it? Oh, God, the choices are just endless. So let me begin by saying to Mario, say hello. Tell us about your pronouns and introduce us to Ernesto Goldman.
Yeah, so hey, my name is Mario. I use they them pronouns. And I'm going to play Ernesto Goldman with the portrait of Eric Mühsam. So this is like a popular like early 20th, end of 19th century anarchist that I just meshed up there. So that is also like my rough concept for this character is that he did study, or well, he hangs out at university most of the time, but he feels like there is like this subliminal threat to society, and nobody's like really aware of. So it's like it's going a bit of a conspiracy direction, but there's more to it than just being him being a weirdo. So therefore, he's a gumshoe because he needs to know what's going on and nobody's willing to investigate. So it's up to him to find out like who's causing all that trouble and distress.
Can I ask, you've gone for the professor pulp archetype. Mm-hmm. Is that reflecting his breadth of he knows a little about a great number of things? or is he focused on particular areas of study? I'm just curious what his kind of professorial archetype, where's the root of that?
I like initially thought he might be more of a generalist. So like yeah, whatever seems to be interesting and like the new hot thing, he's willing to spend some time researching.
Great. And clearly a very bright man, because he has wild hair and glasses, which is a classic pulp archetype for the intelligent character protagonist. Okay, moving along. Stephen, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Violet Eagle Eyes Parker.
Hi, my name's Stephen, and today I'm playing, my pronouns are he, him, and today I'm playing Violet Parker, or Eagle Eyes Parker, whose pronouns are she, her. And Violet is kind of an Annie Oakley character type, archetype, which is basically she is really good with a gun, really good at marksmanship. She is the friend and performer play type. So she goes around, to different places showing off her skills, her marksmanship skills, and she's really, really friendly. So she's like, she hasn't met a bad person, and whenever she does, they get a whooping. So yeah, everybody's a friend.
I love it. I'm being friendly to you. If you're not friendly back, I'm gonna whoop you. I love it. Okay. And I apologize in advance for any American accent I may unwittingly drift into. Okay, moving on. Gray, say hello. Tell us about your pronouns and introduce us to Jack Flint.
All right. Hello, my name is Gray. My pronouns are they and them. I will be playing Jack Flint. I'm still looking for a picture of this character. But he's a daredevil and inventor. I'm picturing a sort of a MacGyver type figure who will get himself into trouble and then gadgeteer something to get himself back out again.
Yeah, and I notice you've given yourself a 3 in tools, one of the 6 stats in this game. And so not only can you invent the stuff, you can just pull it out of your back pocket when the time comes and put it on the table. I love that. I'm kind of assuming a slightly, I don't know, there's Flint. I now am instantly thinking of Rock Hudson. I can't shift the Flint Rock connection, which will mean nothing to you, but to people of my age may mean something. Thank you for that. And then moving along, Will, say hello and introduce us to someone who is returning from the first one shot of Hit the Nazi Iran, probably a year ago at a GCOG. So introduce us to Rosy Strand.
So Rosy Strand is ace reporter with the Gauntlet Gazette, informally known as the Gazetteer. And yeah, as in a previous adventure, she traveled to South America and fought a Nazi Vril rocket system that was going to, I think it was Mongolia, actually. It was a Nazi rocket system that was going to target Gauntlet City. And she fought alongside the pulp heroine Misfortune and the occultist Mr. Midnight and Rocky Rockwell, a local inventor. But of course, Gauntlet City is a big place, and there's lots of adventures in the Dark City. So yeah, there's always Nazis to punch here, right?
Indeed. No matter how many, it's like whack-a-mole. When you think you've put the Nazis out of action in Gauntlet City, up they pop. Will, just remind us of your pronouns.
My pronouns are he, him, and Rosy's are she, her.
Thank you very much. And you've gone for the hustler ace reporter. So this is the talker and the endlessly curious.
Yes, I can't quite remember how the pulp archetype set draw to 2+. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember either. I only play this once a season. Okay. And I've changed the rules since the last time you played. So yeah. When the pulp archetype gets you 1 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you take action, you already have 2 dice.
Okay.
If you can make this in relation to your awesomeness, that adds another 2 dice. So you can build up dice really quickly.
Okay.
So we have Rosy Strand, the hustler ace reporter. We have Jack Flint, the daredevil inventor. We have Violet, Eagle Eyes Parker, the friend and sharpshooting performer. And we have Ernesto Goldman, the learned and well-read gumshoe. Bracket, anarchist conspiracy. Okay, so the next thing is there is a link in the Lines and Veils tab to the dice room. If you'd like to open up the dice room, I've put an array of dice out there because this game can easily lose track of its dice. So I'm going to suggest we all use this set of red dice. The first thing I need you to do is to roll one of them. So what I'll do is let me go in character keeper order. Let me go back round to Ernesto. Now, I don't know if all of you have used this dice roller, but if you click on one dice, you will see a little halo appear around it. And that will also illuminate a little purple reroll button at the bottom of the screen. So, Ernesto, roll a d6. Let's see what spark you start with. Oh, 6 plus d6. So if you would like to use the drop down for spark to select 12 spark, he is so sparky. Moving on to Violet. Violet, if you'd like to roll the dice and let's work out what your starting spark is. And then I'll tell you all what spark is. That is a 3 and a 6, giving you 9 spark. Oh, Jack Flint. That is actually MacGyver, I think.
It is.
So, Jack Flint, select a dice and let's see it roll.
Sorry, where's the link?
Oh, sorry, it's in the Lines and Veils tab. So if you go to Lines and Veils,
I see
you'll find
it.
dice.
Thank you.
Oh, and I noticed Will, as tradition now dictates, has added a link to his notes file. On the Gauntlet, Will is legendary for his note taking. He can speak, take notes, and play role-playing games at the same time. It's a talent I've never mastered.
Didn't say I did any of them well, but yeah.
Nor did I. There you go. Okay, so that is a 2. So starting spark is 8 for Jack Flint. And finally, Rosy, roll a d6. That is, oh, good sparks coming here. Now, spark is your kind of get up and go. It's your will, the iron in your soul. In a way, it's kind of a hit point. So if things go badly for you, I'll start reducing your spark. But sometimes you can spend spark to help somebody else. So all you have to do is to narrate how you're helping someone, and then you can donate any number of spark you like. And every spark will add a dice to their dice pool. So you can spend it, and I can take it. When it gets down to 0, you are down. And that means that really the only thing you can do, well, actually, let me refer to the rules tab. If your pulp hero runs out of spark, they are down and cannot do anything awesome until spark is refreshed. If your pulp hero is already down and then loses spark, they are out. When the hero is out, the only scene they can appear in is one aimed at refreshing their spark. And you'll find that there's a little bit there about how you refresh spark. You can refresh it by being plain old nice to folks. So if during play, you can see an opportunity to be nice to some innocent bystander or anybody else, take it, describe it, and you will get to roll to take action with heart. If they are a known villain, you can still help them because, guys, you're heroes. And that is what heroes do. So even if they're a villain, you can be nice to them and earn some spark back, conceivably. You can also earn spark by asking another member of the team a question. And the more probing the question is, if they are willing to answer it, that will earn you, the questioner, spark. And they then can obviously interrogate you. And, routine questions about your life, just, normal everyday stuff, that can earn you a spark. Something a bit more probing or intimate, that could earn you 3 spark if somebody answered one of those questions. And if you decide to reveal to someone your greatest fear, then that greatest fear becomes something I can begin to use in play to make doing things more difficult when that greatest fear is present. But that earns you a whole 4 spark, not to be sneezed at. The other way to refresh spark is by fraternizing with a named NPC. So if you decide to spend some time, and we'll work out together what that fraternization looks like. Is it a drink? Is it more than a drink? Then you can earn 4 spark, but that NPC immediately becomes a villain. Yeah, I'm always thinking of that. There's that bit in which of the Indiana Jones original trilogy is it? I think is it the second one where they're in Venice and he comes across the attractive German lady who turns out to be a villain after they've slept together.
That's the third one.
Actually. Oh, it's the third one. Thank you. Thank you. They blur in my mind, if I'm honest, after all this
how
time.
Could they? How could anything blur with Temple of Doom? Like, come
on. You also gain XP in this game. So every time that you protect an innocent, you will gain an XP, and there's a place to kind of track that. I've left Rosy with the single XP she left the last game with. If you spend spark to support another pulp hero, you will gain an XP. And then at the end of our episode, there might be some others to be earned. I'll be honest with you, you need to earn quite a lot to either activate another awesomeness, something we didn't know that you could do and suddenly is revealed, or improve one of your stats. But, you never know. If you are sufficiently helpful to other players and to innocent bystanders, then, you might be able to change something on your character sheet. Okay, so that is my pitch. We are going to start in media res. So if I now refer you to the episodes tab, please. Hit the Nazi, retrieve the Ark always starts in New Gauntlet City, right? So that's why, where is the principal location? New Gauntlet City. For me, that is somewhere in the temperate climes. I think it's relatively flat because it's coastal. And we always start with unknowing dupes manipulated by, presumably, Nazi agents. But I have some questions for you. And let me continue to go in the same order I've been going. Ernesto, if you look at the top one, says what's at the center of this episode. If you hit that drop down, you'll see a range of options. What are we in the throes of dealing with, Ernesto? Which one of those attracts your attention?
I mean, how could Ernesto choose anything else than something mysterious has happened? Investigate it. I'm sorry, I'm being real selfish, but
no, go for it. Go for it. So if you select that one, there we are. Something mysterious has happened. Investigate it. So we're in the throes of investigating something mysterious. Now, if I now work my way across the character sheet, let me go to Violet and say, tell us about a place you want to be part of the narrative. So where are you investigating something mysterious?
And this is in column C3?
This is in B7.
B7.
Which isn't a drop down, it's free text.
Okay. Let's lean into the trope. This is an ancient temple.
An ancient temple in New Gauntlet City. So There is
and in that case, let's say it's an architectural find in New Gauntlet City of an ancient civilization.
Fine. And so this is an archaeological dig beneath Gauntlet City.
Yeah, very similar to like you said in the third Indiana Jones film, where they get down into the sewers and they find things underneath.
I like that. Okay.
It's Gauntlet City Crossrail, isn't it? It's opened up Roman dome.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. They've been extending the underground system. So if you can put something in that cell, Stephen, that just gives us an aid memoir for that, aid memoir that we don't forget that this is a dig in tunnels beneath. Then let me go to I've forgotten his name already. I apologize. Hang on. Let me say Jack. I'm fixed on rock now. I'm sorry. Let me go to Jack. Jack, tell us about someone you want to be part of the narrative. So tell me about someone at the dig. This could be an entirely, should be perhaps an innocent bystander or an innocent NPC until such time as we know them better.
All right, so one of the lead archaeologists on this dig is a junior professor from, in fact, the same university that Ernesto works at.
Oh, cool. Right. And then going down to B9. So if you can just put something in B8 about that, I'd be grateful. And then B9, tell us about someone else you want to be part of the narrative. They may or may not be involved in the dig, Rosy.
I kind of do really want it to be Rocky Rockwell. Inventor, engineer, working class hero of New Gauntlet City, who's clearly just wants to, my new locomotion. So the project is being held up by this archaeological wackadoo stuff,
Okay, so
Yeah.
Let's have Rocky Rockwell, the engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Jack, do you want to give this junior professor, do you want to tell us what their pronouns are or give them a name?
Sure, this professor's pronouns are she, her. I am bad at names, but I will.
Well, no, let's share the joy. Let's go back round to Ernesto. Give me a first name for this junior professor. You may have seen them on campus.
Yeah, I mean that is Anna.
Fine.
I'd say from a working class family, maybe. So it's quite unusual that she made it in such a young age to the university.
I wonder how she managed that. And is she in fact a villain in disguise? Violet, do we have a second name for Anna?
Griffith.
Anna Griffith, she, her, junior professor of archaeology at Ernesto's university. And Rocky, blue collar engineer and working on the subway extension. Brilliant. Okay. Now, I have thought of an issue with that, Rosy. It could turn out, therefore, that by fraternizing with Rocky turns out to be a Nazi plant. And my only nervousness about that is somebody else's character from an earlier session.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe a different blue collar engineer.
A different blue collar. Didn't he have a rival actually? In the other one, he had a.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was though. And we already
Hubert Hobson.
Yeah, the trouble is we already know Hubert is a Nazi.
He's a Nazi. Shock. He's still a Nazi sympathizer a year later.
Yeah, he hasn't changed.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Cool. Sorry, I've just gone blank because that's what I thought of, and now it's a completely empty spot in my head. I probably wouldn't fraternize with Rocky just knowing that I would turn him into a Nazi by doing so. I would metagame my way out of not doing that. But perhaps he's an unwitting Nazi plant. He's an Nazi dupe, perhaps.
Yeah, the trouble is, if you fraternize, he becomes a villain.
Becomes a Nazi villain.
There's no halfway measures. He goes full Nazi.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a complete blank now. I can't think of anything.
Okay,
Just gone completely off.
I think blue collar engineer and inventor working with the underway subway expansion is great. All we need is a different name. So let me go to Violet. Give me a first name for our engineer.
Orville.
Orville. Jack, do you want to give me a second name? Oh, that's terrible of me because you just told me you're not great with names. Forgive me.
I am terrible with names, and I cheat, and I use a name generator, which I put into the chat. So if you want to do that, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I've just seen it. You see, I never look.
A good friend of mine used to, at the table, look up, so you can have time to hit the link, used to look up in the rule book, and he'd get the names of the authors and pick random names from them. So
yeah, those list of Kickstarter backers at the back are really good for that as well.
I have started just to say like Rogers, Smith, you know,
Francis,
Reese, yeah.
Orville's last name is Wilson.
Thank you. Let me put that in. So Orville Wilson.
Yeah, I apologize, just because all I could think of was it's just, you know what I mean? If I came up with a different name, I'm just thinking, oh, I'm just still thinking of the same guy, like exactly the same guy, you know?
Oh, well, you know, evil twins do exist. We know that. Okay, so we have these people. So let's start in media res with, yeah, let me ask some questions. So Ernesto, because you came up with this, so I think it's fair to ask you, can you add a little bit of detail to the mysterious? Something mysterious has happened?
Yeah, so while they were digging, digging the tunnel to expand the subway, all of a sudden they collapsed, and they a few workers fell into a chamber underneath, and luckily they didn't really get hurt. But the thing is, after they came out, they told everybody that they saw ghosts of like famous figures that had been in powerful positions in New Gauntlet City. So they said they had seen mayors from like 200 years ago and stuff like that, which is a bit odd and does draw the attention of somebody like Ernesto. Also, New Gauntlet City has quite a huge number of people working with like more occult and esoteric topics, but they do it interdisciplinary. So there's like people from all different backgrounds. So they're like the people with mechanical backgrounds and people with more the physics approaches and stuff like that. And I just happened to just slide in and out of those assignments, and this time I just had to go and see first, because I think the authorities said this is so over the top, so we just send Ernesto. He's always talking about the weird stuff, and I don't think they favor me in the way I would have earned it by now. So.
Okay, so Ernesto has been brought in, it looks like. Yeah, sounds like a real circus. Absolutely, it does. And down in these tunnels where Ernesto has taken Violet, Jack, and Rosy to see this location, it is chaotic. You know, there's the subway officials, some in uniform, some not. You know, because this is all about their tunneling. This is, you know, that's where this has started. There's Anna Griffith and a whole range of other people, you know, engineers, scientists. There are those weird kind of pseudoscience guys over there who are setting up some kind of bizarre experimental apparatus. Violet, what's the strangest thing as you come upon this scene?
There's a younger, probably one of the people from the Smarty Pants College who's working on this device that's in the corner, and it has like two wires sticking out of it with electricity arcing between it, but it's not, normally, at times you see, this electricity move, but this is like constant, like almost like they're looking through a window, like it's blue electricity arcing between these two wires.
But as it arcs, you can see some kind of image of some kind looking through it. Is that what I'm getting?
You can see through it, but of course you're only seeing the wall behind. It would be crazy. It would be magic to see something else. Yeah.
Of course. Jack, I think you probably know Orville Wilson, so I'm going to come to you to talk to Orville in a moment. But Rosy, what's the most newsworthy bit of all of this?
Well, I mean, what was most newsworthy originally was the mob's involvement. The unions. They sent me down here to work out whether or not the work was stopping because of an out-of-town torpedo coming in and trying to stiff Orville Wilson for all he has. But sounds like there's something stranger down here. If Ernesto's wandering around here, then something strange is going on.
It's weird stuff. Thank you for adding Anna Griffith and Orville Wilson to the Faces and Places tab, Stephen. That's good of you. Thank you. So fine. So Jack, I think given your expertise, your awesomeness, I think you might know Orville Wilson. So what do you do when you see Orville, standing in the middle of this, looking around, thinking, my tunneling machine, my workforce is. What do you do?
I go up to him like, Orville, old friend. I told you you needed to adjust your tunneling machines better. Your tunnel fell down. What are you doing? I'm sort of like giving him a hard time.
Look, all we did was do what we always do, okay? And then this whole kind of cave-in goes on. Some of my guys nearly died in that. Thank God they didn't. And he takes you to the edge of where this chamber has been opened up that Ernesto has described to us, this idea of a rockfall revealing a space below. He says, you can't blame my techniques for that. How did I know that was there?
Whoa. I don't see that every day.
You do not. There's nothing in the plans. There's nothing in the geology. We were boring through just everything we expected, and then this.
Has anyone been down yet?
Well, look, don't tell the press this, okay? But the reason all these freaks from the university are here is that when we hauled some of the guys out, they said they'd seen stuff down there.
Seen stuff?
Yeah, stuff.
Oh.
They reckoned that they'd seen dead. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this. They said they saw ghosts down there. You know those statues they have in City Plaza of past mayors? Yeah. One of the guys said that he saw this kind of apparition, this ghost of one of them guys.
Weird.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. And look at this circus. I got people from the university, I got people from the transit authority, I got the mayor's office down here, I got the police. If I'm not careful, the governor's going to send in the National Guard. This is just chaos, Jack.
It's a right mess you gotten into.
Tell me about it. I just don't know what to do. What should I do, Jack?
Well, I don't know a lot about dealing with all of these guys, but itching to take a look, you know?
Well, you want to go down there?
Best way to see.
Let me go to Rosy. Rosy, you see Jack in conversation with Orville, who is the chief engineer on this subway extension scheme. And Orville is clearly kind of, and Jack is being Jack. Jack's always calm. Doesn't matter what goes on around Jack. Jack's always cool. What do you do, Rosy?
I think Rosy, just starts talking out loud the copy for tomorrow's paper. National Guard to be sent in, huh? I quote you on that, Mr. Wilson. I thought this was just some sort of mob. So you were down with. Yeah, I thought it was a union. Playing in with a mob, but you must really be selling if you're going for the whole spooky haunted caves angle. I mean, it's a new one. I wouldn't have put it on you.
Orville looks to Jack. I want to cut at that point to Violet. You've seen this weird piece of equipment, and there's Ernesto as well. What do you want to do down here, Violet?
So, I see this weird piece of equipment, and it makes me uncomfortable. So I go across the room from that, which I think happens to be near where Jack and was it Orville were talking? And I hear the two of them kind of talking about going down there, and I'm going to take a look down there to see if I can see anything.
Okay. And Ernesto, just give me a flavor of what you're doing at this point.
I try to get persuade the policemen to just go, because they're just, the sheer numbers are messing up the place. I feel I don't have space to breathe with them sticking around. So I try to give us some space and make some room for the operations to come.
Okay. The policeman in charge here is Captain McGraw. And he has to be a burly Irishman, because there is no other way that he would have reached this position in New Gauntlet City's police force. And so Captain McGraw is there, kind of just looking round, not entirely clear what his men are supposed to be doing. So I think let's engage with the mechanics. So I think that you are going to need 3 successes in order to get McGraw to do what you say. Okay. So let's look at your character, and we'll go slowly through your dice pool. Okay. So you get 2 for taking action. So you've got 2 dice to start with. How does because I'm just looking at Ernesto, and he's this professor of all things. Do you think that applies in this conversation?
It might be an edge case, but I'm thinking, since this I just said this is some sort of like special operations unit from the university, there's a bit of leverage within that, and I say, see, this is logical. We are about to deal with ghosts, and this is something.
Ghosts, says McGraw.
Yeah, you just can't hit them with your cleaver or whatever. It's nothing that, it's not a task for you guys. And I think you're better off having a nice day roaming the parks and getting, those little troublemakers out of the streets and stuff like that. I just don't think, if we called in, it's usually because it's not the case for the police. I'm afraid. I don't want to overstep my boundaries here, but if they call me, there's hardly a place for you and your people. So
I think that does bring the professor archetype into play. So that's 3 dice. I think you're using jaw because you're trying to talk him round. That gives you
Yes.
another 2. So you're at 5 dice. I'm not seeing gumshoe in play
No,
here.
not yet.
So I think you're rolling 5 dice. If you wanted to burn spark, every spark you burned would give you an extra dice. And the way this works is that at the minute you're going to roll 5 dice, you're looking for 3 of them to be 4, 5, or 6.
Yes.
Anything that comes up 1 costs you spark. And oof.
Yeah. So I'll be a bit of risky person here, and I go with like I spent 2 spark just ahead of time, so I'm rolling with 7.
Rolling 7 dice, looking for 5 successes. So highlight 7 dice. Okay, so I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4,
yes.
5 successes. So that is a success. That's all good. So McGraw kind of looks at you and says, "Okay, okay, Professor Goldman. Hey guys, let's get everybody out of here that isn't from the university."
And I just remember I happened to talk about the ghost problem. I would be happy if you would spare the detail with the press, you know, that.
Oh, don't worry, Prof. My lips are sealed. And his men begin to clear. So the transit authority, Orville is being shuffled away. Jack, as they shuffle Orville, they're going to try and shuffle you and Rosy away. Which one of you convinces the police that you ought to be able to stay? Is it you, Jack, or do you go to Rosy?
I think Rosy's probably better at this.
To be honest, I think as soon as you go to open your mouth, Rosy's in.
Rosy steps forward with a little, pen and notepad, and she's like, "Why, Captain McGraw, is this an intimidation of a free press I see here?"
Oh, now come on, Miss Strand. You know it's not like that.
Well, I know that you're trying to shuffle me and my good friend Jack here and away from the truth. Now, what have you got to hide, Mr. McGraw?
Hey, nothing like that, Rosy. Come on. You know, I've given you some good leads in the past.
But what are you trying to bury here, huh?
I think given that he's acting on the behalf of Ernesto, I think that this is quite a difficult challenge here. So I think I'm looking for 4 successes.
4? Well, it's Joe. I'm a hustler, right? So do I get an extra dice for that as well?
So you get 1 for hustler, you get 2 for taking action. You get 3 for jaw.
So 6. And then ace reporter.
I think that you've leveraged that one in, so you get another 2, so you're 8. I can't do 8. There we go, 8 dice.
8 dice.
Looking for 4 successes.
50-50.
Kind of 50-50.
Can you spend extra spark?
Each spark you spend will earn you another dice.
Okay, I'll spend a spark.
And of course, if Jack wanted to spend a spark, I'm not suggesting you should, Jack, because I notice you're on the lower spark than everybody else. But if somebody else in the scene spent spark, that too, if they could narrate how they helped. So you're spending how many?
I'm just spending the 1, so I'll have 9 dice to give me a slightly more than,
okay.
So
let's see those dice roll. Okay, so I am seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Nice.
But I'm seeing 1 oof.
Yes, I lose the spark as well.
You lose
right?
spark, and McGraw says, "Okay, I'll go with it this time, Rosy. But next time, you go where everybody else goes."
Of course, Captain. Like, and then as he walks off, like, that's what he said last time.
Violet, one of the police is wanting to shuffle you out of this space because frankly, you do not look like you come from the university.
And I think I'm going to sidle over to Ernesto, and was it no, it was Jack. Jack was the one looking down in the thing. So I'm going to sidle over to Jack, and I'm going to be like, well, surely, I think this police officer is trying to shuffle me out. I'm like, surely, you don't mean to take us, right? We're all here together. You've got to take, the rest of them because it's dangerous for them. Yeah.
I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think the fact you've now associated yourself with Jack and Rosy's kind of defense, that McGraw is not gonna quibble. And so yeah, so we've got the kind of the fringe physicists over there. We've got Anna Griffith and her team of research associates, trying to work out what if anything there's down there of archaeological interest. But Jack, you told Orville you were going to go down. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, I'm curious. It seems like the best way to find out.
Okay. What's that going to look like as Jack leads the way, being the daredevil?
I'm thinking I'll like throw a rope around a pillar or something somewhere that hasn't collapsed and sort of lower myself down through the hole.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of heavy equipment, from the tunneling here. So, as the flashlights of the police heard anybody else who isn't, either with the university or you. So there's plenty of places for you to, hitch a rope around a secure base, and then down you go. Okay. I think that just lowering yourself down there is not going to be much of a challenge, but I think I want to engage you with the rules. So I think that I'm looking for I'm only looking for 2 successes. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I start with 2. Am I using Daredevil here?
You're first in. There are ghosts down there. You're
yes.
on a rope.
All right. So I'm using Daredevil, and then would this be a hands thing? Because I'm like using my strength to move down there. Or...
I think it's more about agility, which is closer to feet.
All right. So then I have 6.
2 successes. Are 6 dice enough?
Seems fine.
Okay, I'm seeing 3 successes, but 3 1s.
Ooh.
Oof. So that's going to cost you 3 spark. Because as you lower yourself down, a spectral force takes hold of you and throws you off the ground, off the rope, against one of the walls, and you fall down into this chamber with an oof.
Oof.
Yeah, something just tore Jack off that rope, guys.
Was kind of imagining that, like, as everyone was being pushed away, we were like, okay, so we're going to go down, get the rope, get the ladder kind of thing, and then we turn around and Jack's already halfway down with this MacGyver thing, and it's like, huh? And then we hear Tara, poof, to below. Jack, you okay down there?
Well, I'll live. Something weird down here.
So whenever I was next to Jack, looking down in the hole, did I see this specter come out?
Shall we see whether
Yeah.
you did? I think you're taking action. I think that you are, you're the only person watching Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So you are being the friend. And I think I will go with heart or head. Take your pick.
I'll do head because I think that's listed as perception.
Yes, it is. So you're up at 6.
Okay.
I don't think I guess Sharpshooter would suggest you've got good eyesight and the rest, but I think it's focused on. I'm not seeing the performer bit of this.
Yeah, I agree.
So and I think this is going to be quite tricky. So I'm going to make this a 4 success challenge.
Okay, so I will spend a couple of spark.
Gets you to 8.
There we go, and let's roll these dice. Let me select them. And roll.
Okay,
Ooh.
so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes, I think, and no
Yeah.
oofs. Yes, you did. And you saw, well, you tell me what you saw.
Yeah. So what I saw was this guy dressed in like robes jump out of the wall, and he was glowing blue like that equipment the smarty pants have, and for some reason just shoved Jack across, and Jack fell off the rope. But whenever he did that, he kind of looked up, and I saw a good view of his face, and he looked just like one of those statues that they were talking about in the park. And I can even I got a good enough look. I can tell the rest of them it's that old judge that's in the park, and it looks like, and it kind of explained what it looked like.
Old Judge Jenkins.
There we go.
Old Judge Jenkins. Hanging Jenkins, they called him. Dating from, is this after the founding of New Gauntlet City in the 1700s, or?
Let's say it's actually in the mid 1800s, whenever things were a little bit violent. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of gang trouble in the 1850s in New Gauntlet City. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Ernesto, you notice that, the fringe physicists that we've already heard described with these long antennae, when you hear Jack go, "Whoa, oof," you weren't looking at Jack. You were looking at where Rosy was saying, "Where's the ladder?" But she was looking, and you were looking in the direction of the fringe physicists, and the arcs across these antennae create what do you see when you look in that direction? Do you see Hanging Judge Jenkins, or do you see something else?
I see that particular instrument working in a way it did for the very first time. And for me, it's not really what it did show or what I could see. It's more the fact that there's something highly unusual, something like we have metrics about something and nobody has ever gotten before. So like, this is a breakthrough. And I said, oh, I thought that a piece of equipment was just crap, but it's working.
I'm going to suggest that maybe it always arcs blue, and the color of the arcs changes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Rosy, your attention is drawn back to the hole where Jack and my guess is, Jack, that you get up and the flashlight, and we see the flashlight arcing up from down below. Rosy, what do you do?
I look over at Violet, and I look down at the guns on a belt, I imagine, right? Like Sharpshooter, and I go, I don't suppose you got one of those spare, huh?
And Violet kind of looks at you and, sizes you up a little bit and pulls one out, spins it around her finger, and then hands it to you, butt first, and says, I want it back at the end. But yeah.
Rosy shoves it into a trench coat pocket, and then goes like, now, great. Now let's get down there, huh?
And that is when someone comes down one of the side tunnels, because McGraw has shuffled people up back up the main tunnel they're digging. But of course, it's meant to intersect with other bits of the subway, and so there is a kind of access tunnel that they've already dug, and you can see flashlights coming down that tunnel. I'm going to suggest that is a good point to take a break. It is 6 minutes past the hour now. I'm going to suggest that we get back together at 1/4 the hour, just to give me time to make a cup of tea. So I will pause the recording. Okay, we're back from our break, and we left it with Jack in a cavern infested with at least one ghost of Hanging Judge Jenkins. And thank you, whoever put his picture in. That is exactly what Hanging Judge Jenkins looks like. We have Rosy packing heat from Violet, and then torches coming down an access tunnel, a side access tunnel. And I've added a picture of Torpedo Joe Hains, underboss of the new Gauntlet City Mafia. And Torpedo Joe is coming down there with a bunch of thugs and flashlights. Now, happily, the area that you're in is relatively well lit. And Torpedo Joe says, "Okay, nobody move." Sounds a lot like Captain McGraw. Who's in charge here? Ernesto, do you put your hand up? Or do you do something else?
I think I have to, because it's my duty and I'm responsible for my co-workers. I say I'm responsible, and yeah, we won't move, but I think you got the wrong tunnel, so maybe you should head back that way.
Okay, what I need you to do, guy with glasses, is I need you to go up that tunnel and tell McGraw that everything's fine and you don't need anybody down here until midnight tonight. You gonna do that for me, guy with glasses?
I'm sorry, guy with gun. Can no do. See, my dear friend, Captain McGraw, and his guys, they were just heading out to bring us some coffee and donuts because we need to work here for a couple of days, and I'm afraid we're not
You
really
don't
paid
get to the
overtime.
end of that sentence before he sprays his machine gun
Okay.
at the roof of the tunnel. And it must be said, the fringe science guys are already in motion.
I'll look at Violet, just because she was handing out guns and stuff, which I did not approve just seconds before, but now I think that might be helpful.
Violet?
Yeah, so I think that, as soon as I see the guy coming down the tunnel with the gun, I pull my gun, right? So, and I kind of step away so that, there's more space between all of us. But he's got his outgunned, right? He's got a machine gun, and he starts spraying the ceiling with that gun. And I want to shoot, but I want to shoot his hands so that he drops the gun.
That works for me. So that would be the friendly thing to do here to protect your buddies, it seems to me. So 2 for taking action, 1 for the friend. This is certainly within your performer expertise. That's another 2. And I think this is probably tools. So you're at 8.
Okay.
Let me just see if I can set a difficulty for that. I think this is 4. Rich's floor is knock a flower pot off the 8th floor window without breaking the window.
I'd like to throw a spark in if
Yeah, me too.
Well, let's go to Rosy first. Rosy, how are you? What narratively, what are you doing that would justify that spark?
It's the flash of my camera going off, just as the thing, the pistol forgotten right next to my camera, instead.
Fine, spend the spark. That's 9 dice. Ernesto, what about you?
I just keep talking to distract them, and I say, if you're gonna shoot the roof like that, we all gonna be buried under tons of stone. If you want to shoot somebody, shoot me, but leave my co-workers be.
Oh, that's interesting. So if there is an oof, maybe it doesn't go in Violet's direction. So I think you spend the spark. That gets 10 dice, looking for 4 successes. Violet.
Okay, so let me roll that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3 successes.
Right. And 2 oofs.
2 oofs. One of those comes in your direction. One of them goes in Ernesto's direction. As he says, "Okay, glasses," and lowers the gun and And so in diving to avoid being shot, Ernesto, the wind is knocked out of you, whatever happens, lose a spark. Violet, for you, it's not a physical, it's a kind of, shit, I should have been able to do that.
Right.
Yeah? The fringe science guys have run. Jack, down there, you're suddenly aware that your hair is standing on edge. What do you want to do down here? You just heard gunfire up there.
I'm gonna, let's see. Well, there's definitely some kind of a electrical charge happening here. I'm gonna see, like, is there some kind of a generator or?
So you're going to
something
look
weirder?
around for a cause.
Yes.
Fair enough. I think 2 for take action. I'm not seeing Daredevil in the moment. I am certainly seeing Head for perception, and the Inventor in you is absolutely on this. Yeah. Now this isn't an enormous space. This is probably 20 or 30 yards across, and maybe 20 or 30 feet high. This space. So I don't think you've got an enormous space to investigate. So I'm going to set the difficulty, I think, probably as 3 successes with 6 dice so far.
All right.
I'm struggling to see how anybody is going to be able to contribute any spark other than you. So 6 dice, unless you want to increase it with spending some of your own spark.
I don't have a lot, so I'm just gonna go with the 6.
Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, will you look at that? 5 successes, no oofs. Jack, almost using your hair as an indicator of field strength. Yeah?
Absolutely.
You are clear that the wall that you were going down on the rope, the wall that Hanging Judge Jenkins came out of, it's that wall of this space that is actually where this field effect is. You go away from that wall, hair goes down, hair goes up. And your estimate is the center of that field effect is on the other side of that wall.
Interesting. Is there any obvious way to get to the other side of the wall from here?
Let me come back to you in a little while. So Ernesto's on the ground. Rosy took a picture of Torpedo Joe. Violet is feeling a little hard done by that, this is what she does. And his guys have now scattered into cover between you and an escape route. Anna Griffith is still there. Her students have run for it. The fringe scientists have all gone. But you can see, Violet, among the guys who have scattered to cover, one of them has got Orville with him. And he drags Orville into cover, and then bang, 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 bang. So, Violet, you are the closest to a person of action that we have up there. Rosy might argue with that. But what do you do, Violet?
I'm going to take advantage of my performer abilities, and I'm going to I should probably just return fire. Yeah, I'm better than clocking somebody. I think she looks at her gun, she looks at her pistol, and she kind of, thinks, you see her kind of make a fist, and she holsters the pistol and she pulls out her rifle. Right?
Okay.
That's one of those that you got to cock, right? And we see her walking along, and she's kind of, so let's see what the dice roll looks like before I describe it. Yeah.
Okay. So what is your objective here? To take them out? Or keep their heads down? To buy time? To get to Orville?
I think it's to lay down cover for the people who, don't have weapons up here. Basically protect the rest of everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
If it helps, I'm imagining this as like, as the gunfire erupts, right? Ernesto's down. You're going to cover Rosy while she tries to grab us and get to safety away from these mob-handed people, right? So if you're laying down covering fire, kind of.
Exactly, covering fire.
Fine. I don't think that's a challenge. I think that's a kind of I think that's a 2 success thing, because click click bang, click click bang, click click bang. It's what you do, and you are happily in the position that you have a Winchester repeating rifle with an apparently endless supply of bullets. So I think you are taking action. I think you are doing the friendly thing. I think this does fill in your performer, and I think again it's tools. So it's 8 dice. I'm just looking for 2 successes just to buy some time.
Okay. And re-roll.
Okay, that is 1, 2, 3. 3 successes.
And 1 oof.
1 oof. So maybe one of them gets a shot at you, and you just have to duck and cover a bit.
So I think actually what this looks like is she actually goes into her performance routine where she's actually doing somersaults and shooting. Normally she'd shoot at targets, but she's actually shooting at the cover where these guys are, so they have to keep their heads down. And I think one of them gets off a lucky shot because the targets normally don't shoot back, and before she gets to cover with everybody else.
Fine. So that buys time for Ernesto and Rosy and Anna to get into cover. Orville is still behind one of the crates of equipment the fringe physics guys brought. Jack, you were going to ask me a question.
Right. So I figured out that the source of this electricity is on the other side of this wall. Is there any way to get to the wall from up here, or from down where I am?
I think that the wall, now that you're kind of looking at the cavern, it looks like this is some kind of very old basement space from who knows when, or maybe, I don't know whether Gauntlet City has sunk. I don't know whether it's swampy, but certainly this dates from a long time ago. And what's clear is that the wall where the field is coming from, that's actually old brick.
Okay.
So that might be possible to break through it.
Great. I'm gonna look in this old basement to see if there are like small tools, like maybe a hammer or like some old like gunpowder.
Well, I'm going to draw a line at gunpowder, but I think certainly it looks like this. Well, you tell me, what was this basement used for?
This basement's from the 1800s. It was used as this is actually where the old backup city hall was.
Okay. So this is an ancient. It turns out that this is nearby City Hall Station on the subway, and you are down in some long forgotten and disused subterranean basement level. So what does that mean that you find from the or maybe 1900s, early 1900s, maybe?
Right. So I guess this is where they would keep all the tools for maintaining city grounds.
You have anything you need in the way of, leverage, picks, crowbars. So what are you going to do, Jack?
All right. So I'm going to get out a old garden trowel and a hammer and start trying to chisel away some of the mortar until I can crowbar some bricks out of this wall.
See what's on the other side of this wall. Okay.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, upstairs, all hell is breaking loose. Violet, you bought time. Everybody that's still here is in cover, including you. Rosy, let's come to you. What are you going to do, Rosy?
I think that it's, there's too many gunfire, it's dark, there's only one way out of here, there between us and the exit. and it's following Jack down there. And I'm like, as Violet fires covering fire off, I'm gonna grab any NPC in danger that I can do and flee. I kind of almost want like Orville to maybe be captured by the Nazis, by the mob, so you know, like a hostage that we've got to rescue or something later.
Well, he is currently a hostage.
Yeah,
he is with the mob.
Yeah, I just don't see Rosy like running straight up to fight. So I think it's more like the kind of like, quick, let's go, we've got to go kind of thing, you know. And maybe like you know, locking eyes with Torpedo Joe as he like snarls and brings up in his gun and goes clack on empty, and he snarls and who knows, you know.
So are you saying to Anna Griffith, you need to get that, go down, you know, go down there, there's no way out up here? Is that what you're...
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just going like, we gotta go, you know, like there's only one way out of here and it's down.
Okay.
Like,
are you going to go with her or let her go first? Or I just need to get...
Yeah, I think I mean, I'd like to do it in the pulpiest way possible, right? So I think that's either like jumping down, like trying to like climb down the wall and then slipping and just like sliding down the whole way, right? Or like grabbing like that half of the rope or whatever that Jack had and then just like swinging out on it together.
I think the fact that you are helping Anna is gonna get you to roll for an increase in spark. So roll plus heart. I'm just looking for 2 successes. So you're taking action with heart. So that's 3. I think the fact that you're talking her into putting her head up and making a dash for it into a dark hole is probably hustler.
Okay.
So I think that's what is that? 6 dice, 5 dice?
5 dice.
5 dice.
I'll go 5.
2 successes. Increase spark by 1, but take an oof on the way down.
So stays the same then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad but true. Ernesto.
Ernesto is, well, he threw himself to the ground, but just the way he is, he did not stop thinking, and he already made like plan A, B, C, D, E, F on how this could end. And he's been crawling over the floor towards like that pit. And then he peeks over the edge and he says, hey, Jack, how does one overload electrical equipment?
Jack, do you offer advice as you're, carefully working around this brick?
Absolutely. This is right up my alley.
Okay. That's an invitation to Jack to spend some spark, by the way, just to say. So, Prof, I think that you've come up with an idea. So I think you are thinking about this. So that's 1. You're taking action. This is using your head. 3. Again, I'm not seeing gumshoe, but it is an you can spend some spark if you want to. I think this isn't difficult. So I'm going to make this a kind of, I think this is a 2 success. So there's 6 on the table so far.
I'm happy to throw one in if you want.
Jack throws in a spark in order to give you some advice. You're at 7 dice looking for 2 successes. Do you want to burn your own spark or are you okay?
No, I think this is just narrative wise, this is like a routine thing. And Ernesto seems himself quite capable of like retrieving that kind of information and like working with it.
I just need to be clear. When you say to overload the electrical system, are you aiming to take out the lights principally or something else?
Like something rather big, because like what Ernesto wants to do is create an electrical barrier between the mobsters and us. So they might be shooting, but they won't come after us when we hop down the tunnel and find our way out.
It'll look like your background, Alan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Before you do that, I want to give Violet an opportunity, if she wants to rescue Orville from the mob. Because it sounds like if she doesn't do it now, Orville's going to be on the wrong side of this barrier with the mob. So Violet,
yeah. I think that's a good idea. I'm going to, so Violet, is undercover and the mobsters are starting to shoot around and maybe advance a little bit. I think one of them is dragging Orville along. And Violet sees Rosy jump into the pit and hollering about going into the pit. And she sees Ernesto kind of starting to get towards the machine and do something over there. And she's like, now's my time. And basically,
I think Ernesto almost certainly has two ends of some cabling in hand.
That's right. And I think what she's going to do is she's going to, what would be best? I think she's going to sneak up behind, try and sneak around as they're advancing, and they've got their eyes on that hole and everyone else, and just grab Orville and make a run for the pit.
Okay, I think somehow she's going to have to subdue his minder.
Okay, so let's just say she clocks him with the butt of that rifle. Yeah.
Fine. So I think this is doing the fully friendly thing. So certainly that taking action gives you 3. I think this is going to be hands.
Okay.
Because I think it's about just strength, really. So that's 4. Is there anything that of the way you come at this that is going to allow me to include performer?
The only thing I could say, yes. So basically, I'm used to surprising the audience and misdirecting them about where I am. So I'll walk off one side of the stage shooting, and they're all looking for me to come back, and I've really slipped around behind stage to the other side, so that they all of a sudden swing back to see where things are going.
Okay, I think that will give you performer, and I think it moves it from hands to feet.
Okay. And
yeah.
Yes. So that's 6 dice.
I think that's 6 dice, and I think I'm looking for 3 successes.
And I'm going to spend, this is important, right? We all love Orville. I'll spend a couple of points of spark for myself. So that gets me to 8. So let me roll these 8 dice.
Oh, okay. Look at them go. 6 successes, no oofs, and there are 4 6s in there. Describe how awesomely you do this.
Yeah, so I think that, the lights are flickering a little bit down here as Ernesto is kind of pulling on cables, and I think that Torpedo is pointing to the, don't let him do that. And she takes this advantage. They had been trained on her because she was shooting at them, on Violet. She'd been shooting at them. And she does that little, sidestep, slip around the, this support beam and walks out. And, I think the mobster who's dragging Orville along, glances back as Orville kind of is dragging his feet, right as Violet's there, and just clocks him in the forehead, and he just drops kind of silently, as Violet puts up her finger and looks around, and then says, and points towards where the hole is, and as Orville looks a little bit strange, they both run and they do that little teeter at the edge and then kind of fall in.
And all those 6s mean that you land on your feet, and Orville isn't hurt either.
Well, do the little somerset roll, the little safety roll, and then Orville kind of is hanging onto the edge of the pit and then loses his grip, and she catches him as he falls. Yeah.
Great, because I was going to suggest the Black Widow landing, but I think that's better. I had never noticed that landing till I watched the new film, and suddenly I see it everywhere. So Ernesto, it's down to you now. And really, how successful this isn't a game where levels of success should matter, but somehow I feel it should. Yeah. So I said this was only going to be a difficulty of 2. So certainly I think you've got 7 dice, 2 successes. Do you want to burn any spark or not?
No, I just don't think that Ernesto is super trying too hard. I think he's already thinking ahead and about what's next. So that's the point why he wouldn't burn anything. Oh, barely.
Close run thing, and 2 oofs, I think.
Yes.
I stop me but I think the barrier goes up as expected. The cabling lights up, and you know, Torpedo Joe and the others are kind of back away from it, and that's going to buy you time because there's a 6 in there. But how do these 2 oofs manifest?
I think what I didn't trust that one piece of equipment we saw earlier, right? The one where with the sparks and color changing, and that was right behind me. And I think I now, like, the back of my head is like all burnt hair right now because it just exploded like behind me, and I got scared to death about that explosion. And I look even paler than I've been before. I basically look like a ghost in clothes. So, like, yeah.
And stumble into the hole.
Yes.
So that costs you 2 spark altogether. All of you are down there, just as Jack. Jack, stop me if I got this wrong, but I think you've cleared the mortar out, and you'll want to lift this out to see what's on the other side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody's down in this hole now. You can hear the sparking and the glowing of this temporary electrical barrier that's frightening them. Oh, Jack gets 1 XP for helping. Do remember that, folks. Whenever you have spent spark to help somebody else, give yourself an XP. And of course, you carefully lift this out, and the entire wall collapses. And on the other side is what looks like some kind of tiled laboratory, and guys with kind of those kind of darkened goggles, and white lab coats and long rubber gloves, turn to face you, and one of them says, "Gott in Himmel, was ist das?" In Cod German, and what you see is a group of half a dozen technicians stroke scientists, and of course they're wearing Nazi armbands, and it seems to be a sealed room, apart from there's an archway there. What are you going to do, Jack?
So can I tell what they're doing, or just
Okay.
there's a tiled lab full of
it's a
angry
tiled.
Nazi scientists?
There's stuff with dials and levers and equipment, and of course, because they're Nazi scientists, they are armed, and they are drawing Luger pistols. Rosy, I think you've been in the hole longest compared to the others, you and Anna Griffith.
I think we're stumbling up behind Jack as Jack pushes through into that thing, steps out onto this like
Bright
walkway,
lights.
gantry kind of thing, maybe across this tiled laboratory that's clearly too cavernous to really make sense. But of course, it's the Nazis. And as Rosy comes out, and she's like, "Nazis! It's always Nazis."
Nazis.
Yeah. And I think it's dive for cover time in here, like drag Jack out of the way of these Luger pistols about to fire.
Let me be clear though.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and drag Jack back out of that space to take cover in the hole in the ground, or are you going to run for that archway and encourage Jack to go with you?
Oh, I think it's running through the laboratory equipment, like it's back the way we came is no fun. It's a dead end. So this way's more fun, into the Nazi secret lair,
So Rosy is, and of course, Anna Griffith is going with you. So Rosy and Anna have already made a decision, it looks like, Jack. They're heading for that way out. But yeah, there's some kind of, Jack, let's have you roll to see if you can, because this is weird science. So I think difficulty is 4 dice, 4 successes. So I think take action gives you 2. I think this is probably working it out using head
Mhm.
gets you to 4. It is certainly in invention country. So I think you're 6 dice, but I think you're looking for 4 successes with 6 dice. Is it worth it, or do you just run?
I'll spend a spark as well to help. Sure.
Because that'll distract them for long enough as Rosy and Anna dash for it. So that gets you, 7 dice.
I
All
mean,
right, yeah, I got to
Go
find
on
out what's going on here.
Ernesto?
yeah, I want to help as well. And I think since Ernesto like had all these possible outcomes been through in his head, he just stands up, like slaps the dust off his jacket, and already like instantaneously starts talking and brainstorming with Jack about what's actually going on there. And I'm more like theoretical, and Jack can
Like,
bring
oh yeah, see that
on.
lever? I bet it's connected
Yeah.
to that other knob.
Yeah, exactly.
How much spark do you want to spend?
I'm gonna spend 2.
Okay, that gets to 9 dice. Go that way, 9 dice. I don't think Violet, I think Violet is still calming Orville down, if I'm honest, at this point. So we're at 9 dice, and so, you know, 4 successes, 9 dice. Want
I'm
to
gonna
go
go
for
for
it?
it.
Go for it then.
I'm kind of imagining this is behind like one of the machines, and Jack's like, while taking cover, has just been like, oh, if I just look, what does this do? Like, yeah.
6 successes, some of which are 6s. So you notice cables running to the archway that appears to be the only way out of here, to which Rosy is running with Anna. And Anna, Rosy's the kind of person who would help Anna get out. So Anna is running towards that archway. When the penny drops, Jack, and you realize that the field effect is centered on that archway, and Anna goes through it and disappears. It's some kind of teleporter.
Oh my God.
Indeed.
Rosy screams as Anna goes, like, stops, pinwheels, and then staggers straight through the field as well, I think. Like, yeah.
Rosy's gone through the archway. And that's when fire becomes, because they've taken cover behind the panels and go bang, 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 bang. That's probably Violet and Orville's cue.
So if you don't mind, I think that, Violet flipped into did the whole somersault and, the landing thing, and then stood up and caught Orville. And there's this look as they're kind of, taking a breath, and then she kind of leans down, and if it's okay, she kisses him.
Oh.
And she sets him back up on his feet and says, "Don't worry about this. We've done this before. We were sent here."
I love the flip that she catches him and does the full kind of in the arms.
Yeah. Can we say this is fraternizing with a named NPC?
If this is not fraternizing, I do not know what is.
Great. So I don't know how far to take this. So tell me if this is bad. And I think she puts him on his feet, and he smiles really big, like he's been waiting for this. And then I think Orville pulls out one of those German Lugers from his jacket.
Let's leave that. Let's come to that a bit, because let's let him be a villain for a bit first.
Okay. Then the two of them kind of join up, come in the back, and we see a little bit of a glint from Orville that makes the audience suspect something.
So
yeah.
We know what form the fraternization took. What valuable secret do you give away, Violet?
That we were sent here, so we're on some kind of mission, and maybe we were sent here by an organization.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us who's behind that organization, or do you want to throw that at the table?
Let's throw that at the table.
Any suggestions?
Aeon? It's Aeon in Gauntlet City Comics, isn't it? Is the Aegis, like the Shield agency? Like, this is like the early Aeon sort of thing,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Aeon, but with aeons, because there's some strategic has to be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Fine. So SAEONs, they're gonna work out that that's not quite right by the time we get to the middle 20th century.
Currently, lots of top men sat around desks and typewriters and things and tapping away. And
with one woman.
Well, one, yeah.
Agent Peggy Collins is the only woman in SAEON. Oh, so SAEON sent you, says Orville. I've heard of them. That means you're with the government.
We're special agents with the government.
Gee. And that's when the audience sees the glint. But I'd like to reserve some actions for Orville before we we lose him in a gunfight. So yeah, Orville, we the audience, not you the characters, we the audience know that he is not what he appears, because as he goes forward, his jacket flops open, and that's when we see the Luger in a shoulder holster. Orville has a shoulder holster. Rosy and Anna have gone through that arch. Violet has developed a relationship with Orville in the moment since. Ernesto and Jack have worked out it's some kind of portal. Ernesto, what do you do?
That's a tough one. I tell
you what, maybe I should ask the Daredevil first.
Yeah.
It occurs to me that I should go to our Daredevil first.
Yeah, I think I better run through this portal and protect my friends. If there's any like important looking, like easy to hand pieces of tech that I can grab on my way out, I will.
Oh, you always have your trusty toolbox is always strapped to the back of your in your backpack anyway. So that's that. Don't worry about that. You'll have what you need if you need it. Ernesto, Jack is running towards the portal.
I mean, isn't it that like the Nazis always bring some sort of explosives with them wherever they go?
Just maybe they do now.
Okay, perfect. So I just think like Ernesto casually like lights something on fire or like pushes a switch or something like that in the hope for like a big explosion, and then runs for the portal as well.
Violet, you see Ernesto as he's running for the portal. He runs past a panel where there is a large red button, and he bangs that, and suddenly in the scene, the lights begin to flash, and you notice above that red button, a panel, a clock face begins to light. It resets to 0, and it begins going tick, 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 and you can see the second half is in red. Not a good sign. And Orville says, I'll have to follow the others. Surely, and you can hear now that the electrical barrier upstairs has done its job. It's bought you the time. You can hear Torpedo Joe saying, "I don't care. Get down sorry, this is 15 plus. Get down that damn hole." Violet, what do you do? Orville is already in motion.
Violet turns to Orville and says, "Don't worry, I'll cover you. You run for the hole." And she turns her back as he runs towards the portal and starts laying down covering fire, slowly stepping back. So she'll step backwards through it.
Fine. I think that in the end, you are the person probably at risk then, Violet.
Okay.
Let's give you a chance to do this, because it must be said that the scientists, while they have guns, are appalling shots. And so, there is that we see kind of impacts on the metalwork around you, but not on you. I think this is probably feat. I think you are doing the friendly thing. So I think you are getting 1 for friend, 2 for action. I think it is how quickly you can get across there. So 5 dice. I'm only looking for 2 successes.
And I'm gonna toss in 1 spark to make it an even 6, just because, you know, dice don't love me. And I think this spark is basically my blinding faith in Orville.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
And I got 3 successes and 1 oof.
Okay, so I think that maybe as the clock ticks down, you know, we're seeing that cut to Violet, bang, 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 back, bang, 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 clock, tick, 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 tick. And it spends at least 20 seconds in the 2-second slot. And so, but it ticks down, and she's just next to the portal. And that's when the self-destruct goes off, and she's blown backwards through the portal before it goes off. Yeah.
Perfect.
That seems to me to be an ideal place for our next break. You may want to just, I'm going to suggest we come back at 5 past the hour. But in the meantime, you may want to think about what's on the other side of the portal. So where's the principal location? What's the local climate, local terrain, and what do you need to achieve in this episode are the 4 key questions I will be asking you as a group, okay? So shall we say 5 past the hour? I'll see you then and pause the record. Okay, so we're back. I do want to just check in with the table and make sure that we're okay in terms of tone and content, everything else. You know, if yeah, I'm seeing some nodding heads, that's fine. So yeah, I'm just curious what's on the other side of that portal, because I think this is now the start of episode 2. And I would be asking you to tell me what you need to achieve in this episode, what's the principal location, where is it, what's it like, and then, you know, what's the principal threat. But I guess when I've run this in the past, it has tended to be a clue to somewhere else. And so, you know, it's just been then pulling table. But with a portal, all bets are off. And I guess I'm trying to integrate it with the idea that at least one spirit was able to come across that portal. Rather than tying you down to 1850 or something, what I'm going to suggest is that the portal weakens the boundaries between time and space in some way, so that maybe Hanging Judge Jenkins was it wasn't necessarily about his time and place.
It was a side effect, right?
Like side effect. Good. Yeah. So because I don't want to bind you down.
So I that's pretty much what I was, but I really like the idea of there being like underground Nazis teleporting in a 5th column beneath your very feet, right? That's like got these little areas, and then the subway project was perhaps the perfect opportunity for moving the invasion force through or whatever, right? Like, but they didn't count on the ghost network or the ghost field or whatever. But what's on the other side? I don't know. But like, do we want to go full? We're in a space outside of time and space, or are we in a different lab? And now we've got to try and do the quantum leap thing and hope that the next leap will be our leap home to get out of here.
Well, there's an interesting question. Does anybody want to turn their mic on and offer a speculation?
I mean, I've got an idea that is pretty tropey, probably a bit newer, but what about we're ending up in a secret zeppelin construction site on a remote, like, cold island somewhere, and then we can expand and see whether that's like in our world or somewhere else. Great.
Do you want to put your 5 penneth worth in?
I like Ernesto's idea that we've landed in some sort of mysterious building facility.
Okay. What about you, Stephen? What's your thought?
Yeah, I like this idea. I'd like to add on to that and say the invasion force is imminent. So we step through and we see the invasion force as they're ready to step through.
Okay. We're Star Wars characters walking through the big raid stormtroopers and all of that. You know what I mean? Like there's always that bit where they're running around in the background.
Yes, the New Order are just ranked out.
Oh, how about they're giving a big speech and everyone's facing that direction where the stage is, and we're coming in from behind. They're about to face and advance through the portal, but
Okay, let's say then that sounds like something is in danger. Save it. Yeah, if you want to look at episode 2 as I try to build on what you just said. So it looks like New Gauntlet City is in imminent danger. You have to save it. Now you've caused a problem because you've blown up whatever was on the Gauntlet City side of this. Maybe democracy is in danger. The principal location. I'm hearing secret facility. Okay. I can't. Did somebody say it was cold here?
Yeah, I was thinking like some remote place like Iceland or something like that.
Do you want cold or freezing?
Well, yeah, go full in. Let's have every drop of water frozen.
It's freezing. Fine. So this is Ice Station Nazi. The local terrain. Let me think. I think that Gray. What's the local terrain? I've got plains, hills, mountains, brush. Desert would be tundra, I suppose, or forest.
This secret facility is nestled deep in the forest.
Fine. So it's so we've got pine trees. We've got layered in snow and ice. Okay. And that leaves me with what constitutes the most significant, though probably not the only threat. I don't have I had a direct answer from Stephen yet?
One of the choices there, I think, is the military, and I think we've established that fiction that the military is working for the Nazi occult to come through.
Fine.
To attack democracy.
Yes. So the Axis military working for the Nazi occult. It looks like Hitler has rearmed much more effectively by 1935 than anyone ever knew. Okay. Is there something else that we see that is going to be key to this? So tell us about a place that you want to be part of the narrative. Let me go to, let me think, I've asked Stephen, which am I going? Let me go to Gray. Gray, is there something else that we're going to see? So we know we're going to see an armed camp. I'm not sure I want them to be already lined up in files ready to cross the portal, but it's an armed camp. Nazis in winter gear. Is there something else we're going to see when you go when we cut to you on the other side of that portal that you want to be part, a place you want to be part of the narrative?
At the sort of not in the camp, but on like a hill that sort of pokes up a little bit so it's visible above the pine trees, there's a tower, like a watchtower.
A watch. Well, so I was going to ask. So is this some kind of? Has it got some? Is it just a watchtower, or has it got something to do with what they're doing here, other than just keeping watch? Or maybe
yeah,
it also acts as somewhere for the zeppelin to be docked. There has to be a zeppelin.
Yeah, it's a zeppelin tower. Yeah.
Zeppelin tower. Okay. Okay. So there's a zeppelin tower. I don't think I've spelled zeppelin correctly, but if somebody wants to correct that, that's fine by me. Now, normally I would say, is there someone you want to be part of the narrative? So we already have Orville and Anna. Is there anyone else you want to be part of the narrative? Let me think, going that way. So I think that takes me to Will, Rosy. Is there something else you want to be part of the someone else, sorry.
I think having the two innocents here is enough, unless there's just, and I just mean as like a background, either sort of like, you know, scenery chewing, like Nazi commandant kind of thing. But Zara Haas, maybe from our last one, the turncoat daughter, who obviously, we did see die in a big explosion, but you never saw the body. So this is clearly her next work of real energy, and she's just going to be fulfilling the stop them role kind of stuff today.
And now in full Hauptmann Zara
Mm.
Haas uniform
with
yes.
a scar from our last encounter kind of thing,
or a half mask.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone all the way around to Mario? Is there somebody else you want to put in the fiction for color or effect?
Again, I'm being selfish. There needs to be like some esoteric scientist mastermind that is well known for this super dark experimental necrotechnology on the Nazi side.
Okay, I've got as far as Professor Eric Von. Do you want to finish that for me?
Lieberkraft.
I'm which means eagle's nest.
Oh, Adlerhorst, yes, Eric von Adlerhorst. And I may ask you for a distinguishing feature for Professor Eric von Adlerhorst.
He got like some sort of like cyberware. He got like an advanced monocle implanted in his skull.
Yes, with an implanted monocle, and Zara Haas has a half face mask. Great. And there is, of course, a zeppelin docked at the Zeppelin Tower. Okay, so Anna has come through. Because it suits my purposes, no one sees her come through in the first instance. Yeah. So Anna comes through, Rosy comes through. So Rosy is the first of our heroes who gets to act in any way at what you see. And you are in an armed Nazi camp in deepest winter, Rosy.
I think as I burst and I'm like, I fall forwards and Anna catches me right just before, and then she pulls me like into, like a side sort of like, like I think it's just like an empty like lab, you know what I mean? Like there's this area like with all the things around, but it's not in use right now, so no one's paying attention. But like we can hear the bustle and things, and it's like leaning around the corner and like, more Nazis. As pop the next person comes through, right? Like,
and I think that next person is Jack. So Jack, what do we see as you come through this portal?
All right, so I come running through and then sort of slide to a halt in the snow as I realize that I'm somewhere extremely different.
And I think for the purpose of this, it would be really helpful if one wall of this is glass and you're looking out over this panorama that you described to me, with the portal in the back wall behind you. And I think next through is Ernesto. What do we see of Ernesto as he steps across or runs across, I think, having just set the self-destruct on the other side?
I think because I set the self-destruct, I just like jumped through the portal because I was afraid I wouldn't make it. I'm not super agile, so I've got like, I come sliding out and just maybe come to a halt at again like some I don't know, like some metal structure holding this place together.
There's a big pillar in the middle holding up some kind of framework. Yeah, fine. Orville runs through and then goes, "Oh my God, where are we?" Followed by, Violet, blown backwards through the portal by the self-destruct on the other side. At landing, who do you bump into? Who are you blown into, Violet?
Can we actually? I think I was blown up against the glass.
Okay. Yeah, you skitter across this because it's not an enormous lab. There's the portal, There's this thing holding up the ceiling, and then there's a view out onto this. So it's probably only about 10 yards square, maybe. And you're blown across up against the glass. Does the glass break, or do you just come to a stop there?
I think I come to a stop, and we hear some cracking. The glass doesn't shatter, but starts to crack. And I think the camera zooms over the shoulder to see the courtyard below.
Yes, because it's slightly higher and the glass is angled so people can look out over what's down there. So you're lying there at an angle with this drop behind you. Oh my goodness. And somebody pulls you up, but there is a crack in the glass. Could have got very nasty.
Pulls her up just as like one of the guys downstairs and he just hears looks up over his shoulder just as you get pulled away, right?
Lovely. What are we going to do?
This is some kind of invasion force they got here. Like right beneath our feet the entire time. Who knew? Maybe you were right, Ernesto, the whole time.
When you say right between your feet, what's Ernesto's reaction when Rosy appears to be suggesting this is all underneath Gauntlet City?
Oh no, I'm suggesting that but that the Nazis were underneath our feet the entire time, like they were building up. Like that's where they're going to come through. Like everyone's on. They know that they'll never get past our boys on the coast, but they come straight up from underneath.
Yeah, I feared all that blood and soil rhetoric. It needed to happen. I'm sorry that I've been right all along, but that was just logic.
Can we use this for one of the refresh things, maybe?
I was curious whether any of you wanted to either claim some refresh or engineer some refresh. Because I'm just thinking that Violet, you're due a refresh for saving Orville by pushing him through the portal first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that you get to roll 2, whatever your heart is.
Okay. So 2 plus my heart is 4.
You're rolling 4 dice against a difficulty of 2.
Let's roll that. And I got 2.
You get 1 for every success, so you get 4 spark. Yeah. Ernesto, I think you're due a roll because I think that you saved everyone from pursuit.
Oh.
Yeah. By setting the explosion. So I think you're due a roll of heart plus 2 dice.
Okay.
I've realized that I've done that wrong. It
3.
is simply every success equals a spark. So every 4, 5, or 6 equals a spark.
Okay. So but heart is 3. What you just said, heart plus 2, so it's 5. Okay, perfect.
I think I only saw 4 move. I think you're another one to roll, but you've currently got 2 successes.
Oh, true. Yeah. Same like the last one did not.
And there's the third one. Yeah. So spark goes up by 3. Jack, I think you worked out what this was. So therefore, I think you are owed a roll of protecting the innocent. So heart plus 2.
All right. So
dice are being rolled, 3. And every success earns you a spark. I saw 3 of them move. Which other 2 moved? I'm seeing 2 successes, I think. Does that fit with your perception?
Yes, you said.
Because I saw some purples and I thought I saw some reds move.
I think I just rolled 3.
Okay, well then 2 so far. Highlight 2 of those and re-roll them.
Sorry, I've just been using the typey thing at the top.
Yeah, the only trouble with that is it keeps adding loads and loads of dice.
Yeah. How does this highlight thing work?
So if you click on a dice, you should see it get highlighted.
Aha.
Yeah. So if you click on any two and re-roll them,
Got
there we
it.
go. No joy. C'est la vie. And I think Rosy, I think you've suggested that everyone needs to take a moment, so I'm going to give you a roll.
Okay.
Heart
yours-
plus 2.
That's 2 successes, so I do 2. I would also really
Heart
like
goes up by 2.
in that bit where I was talking to Ernesto about like how his his theories and his all this interconnectedness and all of these things, it's turned out to be true, and the threat's even greater than we could have imagined. I mean, is this what Ernesto's greatest fear is that this sort of
Absolutely.
thing is
Yeah.
what the forces that could be unleashed here, they don't know what they're messing with. Like, yeah.
So you have got I think that what we have here then is I'm going to add a greatest fear is I think it's not just being right. The thing you are frightened by is Nazis.
Oh, like just generally seeing it. Oh yeah. Well, they are intimidating.
They
so.
are. So Nazis. This could complicate life for you, but it does earn Rosy 4 spark.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come back and ask Rosy a question, Mario? Ernesto, sorry.
No, I'm super frightened standing above like hundreds of those Nazis. It's the first time in months that my brain actually froze in place just by being frightened.
Can I think I want to narrow. I think I want to narrow it down because I think because broadly everything is going to be more difficult for you now. Can I suggest Nazi scientists?
Oh yeah, especially like my arch enemy von Adlerhorst. Yeah.
It's not the Nazis that you're scared of, it's what the Nazis will do with these things in their power, like.
So because that allows me to apply that when there are Nazi scientists in the scene rather than pretty much all the time. Yeah. Okay. What about let's see who's I think Jack, you are the next most exposed in terms of spark. Do you want to ask a question, and if so, of whom?
I think I'm going to talk to Violet. That's some impressive shooting that you were doing back there. Where did you first learn to do that?
Well, I've been shooting on the range since I was a little girl. They say that I was shooting before I was walking, and you've got to be a pretty decent shot in order to survive the wilderness and be able to hunt and get food. Just turns out God gave me this gift at a level that he saw fit beyond others.
Now, what started as a fairly straightforward question, I think has revealed that Violet thinks that this is a God-given talent. Yeah, which is rather more intimate information. So I think you are currently at earning 3 spark, Jack. Do you want to push this in terms of Violet's greatest fear to get 4 spark, or do you want to settle for 3?
I don't see an obvious fear direction here, so I think I'm just going to go with 3.
I can, if you'd like, I can reveal a greatest fear in order to get you up. If you'd like.
I think we're all keen to hear.
Oh, okay. I think Violet leans over and says, "Oh, I'm just thankful to be out of that pit. The idea of being alone in the dark is like, just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I just can't stand it because, if you can't see, you can't shoot."
That's true. So, like your well-lit, wide open spaces, eh?
Yeah.
Can we simply say being in the dark? Because I think that once the lights go off, it feels like you're alone in the dark, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. Does anybody else want to step up to have another conversation with somebody else, or are you going to settle for those? Okay, fine. I can't quite work out why Violet has yet to earn any XP, but I do want to just look at the rules, and there is end of episode XP. So during the episode, did you protect the innocent? I think everyone gets an XP for that, because all of you have in some way played a part in protecting people you believe to be innocent. Oh, sorry, no, that's end of episode. Went out of their way to look for trouble. Oh yeah, everyone gets an XP for that. So that's the XP. Not forget the innocent one. That's the XP I'm talking about. Confronted or defeated a known villain. Yes, Torpedo Joe Hains was defeated in that. So everyone gets an XP for that. Yeah. And you can see that there are rules for spending that XP. Some of you now might have enough to spend. Let me just deal with that before I do anything else. Violet, I don't think you've got enough. You need to get 3 XP to increase your jaw, which is your lower stat. What about Jack? You could spend all 3 of those to increase heart or jaw from 1 to 2.
Yeah, I think I might put those into heart. I feel like I've been chummy with several people.
I think that's a heartfelt decision. Sorry. Let's move to Professor Ernesto Goldman. You could increase either hands or feet from 1 to 2 and reduce that down to 1 XP. Or do you want to hang on in the hope of maybe getting more XP and revealing another awesomeness?
I mean, it's a one shot, and he's been sliding through a portal, so that gives him a bit of an advantage with his feet, right?
Yeah. He's had to do a lot more exercise and display much more agility today than normal. So fine. So reduce your XPs to 1. And finally, Ace Reporter Rosy Strand. You could let me think. You could increase a 2 to a 3.
I could do, yeah. But I am in fact
2 1s to 2s.
I'm going to increase both my heart and my tools to 2s.
Okay.
Going to go Jack of all trades.
Fine. So that uses up all 6. Fine. So we're going to find out that Rosy is broadly capable, perhaps. Okay.
She's Lois Lane, right? So yeah, she's she's capable in every scene.
What's the plan, guys? Rather than me asking you just what do you do, because otherwise I'm going to say to Jack, what happens? Because the Daredevil always gets to say, really. Violet, what's the plan?
I think Violet turns to them and says, well, we have to get home. I mean, haven't we already foiled them by eliminating their attack on Gauntlet City? I mean, well, we could also make sure that they can't stick around to attack at any other time. But can just the 4 of us take these guys out? Or 6 of us, excuse me, 6 of us.
We got to get out of here. And you fly one of those things, Jack? Can I point up at the zeppelin?
Oh, it's the first time for everything, right?
But you know, we got to make sure people know about this, like what they've been doing. I know you work for SAEON, right, Violet? Or is that just a nasty rumor I heard?
No, it's true.
Well, they'll want to know all about this, but we should try and wreck whatever they've got here and keep low so that we don't, stir the hornet's nest.
Ernesto, I want to play into your gumshoe a little bit here. Is there stuff you need to find out?
I think I wait a bit until all of them have spoken, and then I say, I'm afraid I need to be a killjoy here, but I don't think we're gonna go back home anytime soon. They will create, like, you see that scientist down there. He's the most evil man known to mankind. and he's the craziest scientist that ever walked on this planet. With him being around, we better make sure that none of these Nazis are going anywhere. So
we can't let von Adlerhorst keep the research. We need to stop him.
And I think I'll just make like some grand gestures over what we see like beneath our feet, and I say each of them are elite soldiers, and we're the only one that know of this.
So okay,
we need to retrieve their secrets and destroy their equipment.
Otherwise, how can there be a portal race?
A portal gap.
You cannot allow the portal gap to remain. Violet, you need to get home. You need to report to SAEON. Ernesto, you need to find the research that might allow SAEON to recreate this and close the portal gap. Jack, what about what's your principal objective in episode 2?
Oh, I want to stop this evil scientist and his necro army from destroying democracy and attacking the innocent.
Of course you do. Rosy, what's your principal objective? Apart from the pictures.
Yes, yeah, what a scoop. It is to to stop the portal and get out of here in a daring escape.
Of course. Okay.
I don't think it's a case of defeating their army. I think it's a case of like wrecking their equipment and sailing off into the sunset, right?
Okay. And of course there are white Nazi parkas hanging in this room for people transitioning through the portal. So all 6 of you are parked up, and I think, Ernesto, it's down to you to employ your investigative abilities to find out where you need to go next.
Yeah, absolutely. And already like expanding the problem, I think this is just like me overthinking it, and I'm just saying, well, one thing is sure, they had help from within the city, and I'm afraid they will have help from every single country on this earth, because some people just want to feel superior, even though they clearly not.
So I'm going to have Ernesto lead us out of this room. As I've been thinking about this, I think that it appears to be tiled, this room, but in fact it is chiseled into the wall of a glacier. So the surfaces are actually ice. And that involves you putting on, grippy Wellington boots, as well as your Nazi parkas, and heading out into the corridors, pretending to be like you belong here, I guess. There are lights retrofitted to these tunnels, and I think we montage you moving through this glacier base. Ernesto, you need to find records. You need to find research, don't you? So
yeah,
you need
absolutely.
to find some hub or some control room or something. Yeah. I think that's going to be difficulty 4.
Yes.
While you are trying to not draw particular attention to yourself. But the fact is, everyone's dressed like you. Everyone has hoods up, fur-lined hoods. Everyone's dressed in parkas and these Wellington boots. So in that respect, everyone is the same. So 4 difficulty, taking action gets you 2. I think this is about working stuff out that gets you the professor. I think this is about gumshoeing.
Yeah.
And I think it's either about head, because if anyone speaks German, I think it's going to be Ernesto.
Yeah,
so
but I think that is exactly the problem. I think we see like thousands of labels and like just like way markers or something like that, because it's like German efficiency. All the soldiers need to know where to go. The thing is, how would I know what Geheimlabor means? Yeah, that just figuring out those very specific terms and to know where to go. So yeah, that's definitely the head, I guess.
So that, I think, gets us to 8 dice, I think. 4 successes. Do you want to burn some spark, or do you want to hang on?
Absolutely. I'm gonna burn 3 of my spark to make it more interesting.
Gee whiz.
So it's 11 dice.
It is. I won't be able to keep all of those in my field of view.
No. Rower? No.
Okay, all of those.
Oh,
So
wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's more successes than anyone you like. And I think that gets you to the control room without any trouble at all.
I think that the fun part is that since the Germans wanted to invade New Gauntlet City, where most of the people speak English, I find a German English dictionary and just reverse engineer like the language.
Is. Do you want this to be the control room, or do you want this to be von Adlerhorst's office?
I want this to be the secret laboratory.
Fine.
That's what Geheimlabor means. So
fine.
Yeah.
So this is the hub of this operation. And I think because you rolled so well, I'm going to suggest that it's not as busy as it might be. So you're here now, Jack. You're the inventor. Ernesto gets you here. What's your, you're the technical genius. What are you thinking?
Well, somebody mentioned that we need to sabotage their equipment. So if I can find like some explosives or something I can use to sabotage their vehicles.
I think this might be then about you rigging this to blow itself up. I don't think you're going to find a convenient kind of set of plastic explosive, but I think maybe with a little bit of cover and a little bit of help and a little bit of distraction, you might be able to rig the controls here to blow up. Yeah? Violet, what about you when you get here?
I think I'm the lookout. I'm trying to make sure that no one sneaks up on us or, just rounds that corner.
Fine. So you're at the door checking the corridor. Rosy, what about you?
I'm snooping somewhere.
Are you snooping in this room? Are you
No,
snooping
somewhere else. Somewhere else.
You're snooping somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yeah. I'm going to go. I need to get a good shot of this base. Like, no one will believe me. Like, I've got my battered camera like tucked underneath the thing, and I look up at the Zeppelin tower and I go, "That's the shot." And I'm gonna go up to the. I'm like, we've got to get out on that Zeppelin afterwards. So.
And then photograph down.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. So Violet, Orville is with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Anna is probably with Rosy. Yeah. So Rosy, are you and Anna heading towards the way out of the glacier that will take you across the armed camp towards the tower?
Yeah, we're going to be the taking care of the escape plan kind of leg of the plot. And I think that
Have
that
told
Anna comes
people
with
that, or do they just notice you're not there?
No, we've told people. We agreed that before. Well, we came to like the secret, and I was like, Anna had to come with me because she speaks perfect German, and I can only do it with an American accent.
Okay. So I'm now trying to remember my O-level German. You're looking for would it be Ausgang? Way out?
Yeah.
Ausgang, this way. And so you're heading towards the exit. Okay, Jack, I think this comes down to you rigging this, but I do want to tell you, in the control room, there's a wall of monitors. And the monitors show a number of other rooms, just like the one you came through.
Interesting. I am curious, like what all these control rooms are controlling.
It looks like this is the central hub. And underneath each of these monitors, you have what looks like a kind of control panel. And now you think about it, when Violet was thrown against that glass outside. And you talked about a court. Somebody talked about a courtyard. So it looks like this has been cut out of the face of a glacier. So imagine there's three sides. And you do remember, now you think about it, there were other windows that were angled out like that on other sides of this
Oh, so maybe
courtyard.
every one of these is a portal.
Well, certainly it looks like there's one camera that's blank. And the view is from the other side of the portal. So they didn't see you come through. What they saw was something go wrong on the other side of the New Gauntlet City. And then it dawns on you, above each one of these is a label that says London, Paris, New Gauntlet City, New York, Madrid, Moscow. What are you going to do, Jack?
So I think first, if Ernesto is here with me, I'm gonna tell him, look at all of the places that they were going to go.
And so far, there is one person at each of those panels. There are two people at New Gauntlet City. One, they've lifted off the top of the control panel. They think it's a technical error on their end. But so far, you're always on a gantry overlooking this. Yeah. So Ernesto.
I hate to be right. I just hate to be right about these things. So I think we need a slight change of plans, because with this technology, and assuming that Van Adelhorst is not the only one knowing about this technology, we need to find the blueprints. We need to be able to strike back with this kind of portals and strike in the very heart of the Reich.
Because one of them says Berlin.
Ooh.
Violet, that's when you feel something cold on the back of your neck, and Orville says, "Now, Violet, don't do anything strange." And you realize he has a gun pointed at the back of your head. What do you do, Violet?
I think I, put my hands up, and then one is the rifle, just kind of hanging there. And Orville, what's going on here? What are you doing?
You just don't understand, Violet, what the Reich can do for us all.
Oh, Orville. You poor deluded. Is your name even Orville?
I'm a true son of America.
So as soon as he starts to talk, I'm going to clock it. Right? I'm going to swing around with that butt and, yeah.
Okay, let's see how that goes, shall we?
Perfect. Yeah.
So taking action is 2. I don't think this is particularly friendly in the,
No.
it is friendly in the sense you want to save America's heart, yeah, but I don't think it's friendly. I think this is hands or tools. I'll give you tools for this one, I think, because you're using the rifle.
Okay.
So that gives me 5. And I don't think it fits particularly with the performer.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a showy flip. This is a, spin around. And I'll spend, so difficulty.
Difficulty is 3.
Okay. So let me spend a couple of points of spark.
Okay.
And that should give me 7. And let's see how that looks. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 oof.
And 1 oof. So cost you a spark, and you do clock him, but as he falls, the gun goes off.
Right.
And the scientists at the panel look round and see you up on this gantry. Rosy, you and Anna have made your way down to the ground level of this glacier base, and you're outside. And now you can see that there are, you know, like 8, maybe 9 of these windows up on a higher level. And you make the connection, shit, there's more than one portal. And then there's the armed camp, and through the trees is the tower with the zeppelin on it.
I think that it's you know, we're gonna go to the zeppelin, and I'm just looking at the time here as well. Like, I would really like just for my next role to be how to
Can I just need to check in. Have I said this for 3 hours or 4? Are you expecting to finish
is it
in
for
10
4
minutes
hours?
or an hour and 10 minutes?
Is it enough 4 hours?
I think it's an hour and 10 minutes.
I apologize because I joined up for this thinking it was 3.
Do you have to go?
I do have to go, and yeah, I really am sorry for that.
No, that's
my
fine.
bad.
Well,
I just saw and then jumped in.
In the next 10 minutes,
Mm.
we need to give Rosy an appropriate out.
Yeah, well, like I say, we're going to get them the zeppelin, and it's going to be the flying in, like, you know, can't fly this thing, crashing through the side of a wall or something, right? Like causing huge damage.
So I'm going to suggest that we spend a bit of time with Rosy and Anna getting across the camp, so that hopefully when the others reach the zeppelin, Rosy will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So Rosy, how do we see you make your way through the camp?
Well,
and how big a bang is there?
I think it's all very, you know, and we just got the hoods up and we walk through, and there's like nods, and, you know, just like everyone muffled and like grunts and things. And then we get up to we're climbing up to the zeppelin like tower kind of thing. And then, you know, that's when I turn around and I take my shot of like the whole camp from it. And of course, that's when one of the guards comes over.
Oh no, better than that. Better than that. You've taken the hood off so you can get a good view from the top of this tower with Anna. And that's when, from the gantry that runs out to the nose of the zeppelin, on the gantry is Hauptmann Zara Haas, who says, my dear Rosy, you can never resist a good photograph.
I thought you were dead.
I apologize to German speakers across the world, particularly you, Mario. I am sorry, I can't resist it. And there is Hauptmann Haas.
Zara, I thought we left you behind in Mongolia.
And she takes the mask away, and frostbite has eaten away most of her face. It is a long trek through the Himalayas, Rosy. A trek I have you to thank for. And she pulls the Luger. What do you do?
She pulls the Luger, I throw the camera at her, like, you know, and duck, like.
What is your objective? What do you want to be the outcome of this exchange?
I think it is throwing the camera at her and knocking that gun off the side of the, like, out of her hands and over, like spinning off into the abyss kind of thing, right?
Fine.
Yeah.
So I think that this is take action. I'm struggling to see Hustler or Ace Reporter in this.
Nope.
I am probably looking at feet rather than hands, because this is about agility and skill rather than about brute force. So 5 dice. I am looking for 4 successes.
Well, I will. Can I just spend as much spark as I like?
Well, of course you can.
Okay, then. Well, I will spend.
And you have plenty to spend.
I have loads to spend. Yeah, I will spend 4 of them because I really want to.
Okay.
Hit Zara Houseman. So that is 8, I think, in total.
8 dice, 4 successes. Yeah. What could go wrong? Oh,
plenty.
So, quite a lot, it turns out.
Yes.
That is only 3 successes.
And only 3 successes. So, I guess I throw it, right, and it maybe it hits her hand and everything, right, but then I go to like strike, punch her, and she just grabs my hand, and now we're wrestling on top of the gantry, right? Like
exactly. And I'm going to spend 1 of those oofs having the ricochet hit Anna. So Anna gets hit in the shoulder and slumps down at the top of the lift, which you will come up this tower in, leaving you and Zara Haas struggling on this as the wind picks up. Yeah. And how do we resolve this? Or do the rest of us epilogue our way out of this afterwards? What do you want to happen, Rosy?
I mean, I think that we should see that fight to the death and, you know, happening up there. And I would just like the next scene to be battered and bruised and whatever, right, on the Zeppelin coming in for whenever it's convenient for you to be picked up by Zeppelin getaway car.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. So yes, let's assume that.
And we'll never find out how that fight went, right? Like,
and we'll never know whether Zara Haas is finally dead or was left hanging from the gantry.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. I'm very sorry that I didn't check the times. I just saw the empty space and thought, cool, and didn't think to look. So my bad.
I'm really glad you could join us, Will. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
So I'm inclined to say let's take our last 5-minute break at that point. Yeah. Back on the hour. I will pause the recording. Back from our final break. Will has left us because he's got other stuff to do this evening. But we know Rosy is going to be able to rescue them, the characters in the Zeppelin, when the time comes. I will leave it to you three to determine where you need to be rescued from, but we have some ground to cover before then. So, Jack, you are the person who might be able to rig this to blow up. But of course, that leaves the question then of you will have to get out on the Zeppelin, I guess. Ernesto, you are the person who's probably going to be necessary to find the way to the best place to jump on a Zeppelin. And Violet, you just put down Orville, who turns out to be a Nazi sympathizer all the time. And in fact, now you think about, it's odd that it should come this close, that subway line. This isn't the most logical route to, you know, the Crossrail to Gauntlet City West. He's on the floor. He's out of action. The gun goes off. We see all the scientists who are technicians working here, one on each of the panels. So there are 9 or 10 of them here. They all look up, and all of them look at a place on the wall beneath the gantry on which you're all standing, where there's a large emergency button marked alarm, which might even be the same in English as German. I don't know. And you know, Jack and Ernesto, that they're going to run for that alarm button. Ernesto, is there anything you can do?
Yeah, I think I just can talk them down.
Oh, so you're going to try and...
Now that I've learned a bit of German, I try to use that and say to them, like, respectable colleagues. This is me. I am Klaus Heinrich. I am supposed to take over this department. And unfortunately, it seems like we had an incident over there, but this should be resolved. The one thing I mention is that the Führer will not be pleased if we have a delay in our research. So please continue your work.
Okay, let's see how that goes. Taking action gets you 2. I think you're pulling the academic credentials, so I think Professor plays. I'm struggling to see Gumshoe, but I am seeing 2 for Jaw, so I think I'm at 5. So 5. A gunshot just went off in a secret Nazi base. I think the difficulty here is at least 4. Yeah, I am almost inclined to go to 5, but I want to give Ernesto a good shot at this. So I'm going to go with 4 difficulty. How many dice? You got 5 dice, 4 successes. What are you thinking, Ernesto?
I'm gonna toss in a spark.
Okay.
And the way that this works on screen is I whisper to Ernesto, and that you just took down a spy. And I'm going to
Oh,
slide
yes.
Orville off the icy gangplank off into the rest of them.
Where
That's
he
perfect.
falls, the 15 feet down. So how much do you want to spend? 1? That gets you to 6. Jack, is there anything you
I'm
think
happy
you
to
can do?
help.
How?
That's what.
Or is this just going to be buying you time to do something else?
Yeah, I think I'm formulating my glacier destruction plan.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So you're at 6 dice currently, Ernesto.
Yep.
Do you want to spend any of your spark?
Absolutely. And I think I'm risking it pretty much. So I'm gonna spend 3 spark, because if this works, I think being the new head of department, I will be occupied, like, and I have no room to breathe or go where I want. So yeah.
9 dice, 4 successes. Roll them bones.
No, there he goes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes.
But 2 ones, which means I'm out.
Well, I'll take one of those, but I'm going to spend the other oof, have somebody else arrive at the lab because they heard the gunshot. Yeah. So let us suggest then that Ernesto is now down on the floor of the lab. No windows, don't know where, it's in the glacier, deep in the glacier. Violet, are you playing, I don't know, Ernesto's bodyguard or something and standing over Orville's body? Or what?
I think I was actually, as soon as I saw them all kind of turn, I dropped to the ground. So I'm down flat on the walkways. So I'm not sure they can see me.
Fine.
And then I slid the Orville out. Yeah.
Fine. So you are up on that gantry still. Jack, hiding on the gantry or following Ernesto down into the control room as his technical assistant? I don't know.
I think I follow him down because I've spotted a couple of ingredients that I want to grab for my plan.
Okay. And that's when 2 armed members of the security team here come into the lab. And of course, they come in at the same level as you, Violet. So what are you going to do when these guys come through the door? Because they've responded to a shot. And of course, you weren't keeping an eye out on the corridor.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to lie there and play dead. To see if I can get them to just pass on by. Yeah.
Okay. I am going to assume that they do pass on by and make their way down the gantry steps down into the base, because they see the body, and a string of German issues from one of them, as to what's going on, what on earth is all this, what's happening here.
And can we actually say, as they walk past, they actually step on my hand or something like that, and we can, the camera zooms in and we see a little bit of a wince and but yeah.
I don't want to force a roll on you at this point because I think you might want to actively do something. Fair?
Yeah.
Jack, what are you doing? Because Ernesto, I think you're going to have to deal with these guys. And I think they're going to be a tougher audience than a bunch of scientists. So Jack, what do you want to happen?
So what I'm trying to do is I'm gathering up some kind of motor and some drilling equipment. And I'm thinking if we can get out on top of the glacier and find the right point, we can induce some vibrations in the glacier that might cause it to collapse.
And I thinking you were just going to overload a panel. Oh, that is so much more pulp. Fine. So that requires you to get out of here then now. Yeah, okay. So Ernesto, the plan is to get out of here, get to the top of the glacier, induce a glacier collapse, and get picked up by an airship. But currently you have two, classic SS, but dressed in white parkas.
Yeah, that is the problem, because also those guys scare me, at least a bit. And then there's all these eager scientists that want to learn from me, which is also quite distracting. And I just say, like when they come in and ask what's up, I just say, welcome, gentlemen. Just have a seat. I'll be with you in a moment. I just need to explain those others what our next ritual will be looking like. And I'm trying to be polite even to the enemy. What was that kind of move? There was something we had
plain
earlier.
old nice to people, and
Yeah.
it's worth a bit more if they are villains. So yeah, by all means, roll heart plus 2 dice. And depending on what the dice look like, you'll get some spark back, and you may or may not buy a little bit of time with these guys.
Okay, that is 5 dice.
So that is, spark goes up by 2, but I think
Yes.
that oof means that so add 2 to your spark. But I think that oof means that they are not buying this. They are looking for answers right now. And as you're talking to them, you can see Jack making his way up to the gantry, and Violet kind of looking down at you as you look over their shoulders at what's going on up there. How are you going to get out of this room, Ernesto? Because they ain't buying it.
Yeah. Okay. I know. So if the viewers have watched closely, we saw the air conditioning shaft in the background, and we saw like this experimental like chemistry build up like in the room, and I accidentally tip over the Bunsen burner that is burning right now, and therefore let the the sprinkler go off. And within all this mess, I'll just try to slide with my new found agility, try to slide into the air shaft, and make my way up to the top.
Okay, then let me think. 2 for take action, certainly. It is the kind of idea that only an academic could come up with. And I think that this is feat. So I'm thinking at 5. I think that because it's quite a complicated plan, I'm going to make difficulty 3.
Yeah.
5 dice, difficulty 3. Is there anything that Jack could do to help?
I think, I see that you're in a bit of a bind here. And so as we're leaving the gantry to head up towards the top of the glacier, sort of like bang around on it so that the suspicious guards look away.
How many spark do you want to spend on this distraction, Jack?
I will spend 2.
2. So that gets you to 7 dice. Is there anything that I'm looking at Violet? 3 spark. I'm not sure Violet may want to do anything here, but what do you think, Violet?
No, I think I'm covering Jack's escape as we leave the gantry.
Fine.
Oh, and I'm following the track. I think we see Violet, see Ernesto eyeing the air conditioning vent and eyeing to see where it comes out.
Yes. Fine. So 7 dice plus anything you want to spend, Ernesto. I think.
No, I'm too scared to risk it all. I know that I'm down with resources.
Okay, so 7 dice. I'm looking for 3 successes. That's 3 successes and an oof. So clearly, you bark your shins or bang your elbow as you leap into this air shaft and disappear. And there's confusion. Where did he go? What's going on? And then I see Violet and Jack, making your way through the corridors to get to where this air shaft comes out. But, trying to do it quickly, but not running. It's briskly walking. Yeah. Okay. I think, Jack, this is, you have this wild plan. You think you've got the equipment you need, or you know where it is. And I think that probably you are pushing Violet to just take some chances. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have you take the lead here. To do this without drawing attention, I think the difficulty is 4. I am seeing take action and daredevil. I think I'm struggling with Inventor.
Yeah, not so much.
But I'm seeing head. So
Right.
I'm seeing 5 dice with a difficulty of 4 to get there quickly, but without attracting attention.
All right, I'm gonna throw in at least a couple of spark.
Okay, so that gets you to 7 dice. I'm looking for 4 successes.
All right.
Will you look at that? 1, 2, 3 successes and 2 oofs. Oh no. Cut to you being chased by a security detail on the way to where Ernesto will emerge. And a couple of oofs. I think one of those is the security detail that is now chasing you, and one of them is a cost of spark to you, Jack.
Right.
So cut to Violet and Jack being chased through the corridors, heading for a rendezvous with Ernesto. You did succeed. You didn't succeed, so you're going to come out separated. You're on the opposite side of some natural crevasse in the middle of the of this glacier. But you can see that there is, there's sky up there, and on Ernesto's side, there's a staircase going up. But there isn't a staircase going up on your side, Jack. And that security detail has taken a wrong turning, but they'll be here really quickly. Ernesto, what do you do? Do you head to the top of the glacier?
Do I look down and see a zeppelin coming up?
There may be a zeppelin up there.
Okay, up there. So you say there's a ladder.
Yeah, there's a set of there's a staircase zigzagging up the 40 feet or so up to the top of the glacier on your side of the crevasse.
Okay. Is there is there anything like heat exhaustion pipe or like water drain or something like that? Something I can like detach and have it like get
there has to be a way to swing the layer of gantry on your side out across the crevasse. Because why would you have 2 entrances onto a crevasse that didn't connect?
Yes.
So there is a bridge that you might be able to get over there, Ernesto, if you can work out how it works. So I'm thinking that this is tools. I'm thinking that this is, it's a clever idea. I'm going to give you Professor. I'm going to give you the 5, the 2 for action. I'm not seeing gumshoe, but I think you've realized what the piece of gantry you're on is for. It's to make a bridge. So I think the difficulty is only 2. 5
Perfect.
dice, difficulty 2, because you're just using something that's there.
Yeah. Perfect. Then I'm gonna roll flat on this one.
Okay. I thought you might.
Oh yeah,
3
3 successes.
And so the bridge comes out, giving Jack and Violet a chance to run across towards you. And then you begin, because it's a manual. It has to be manual.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to wind it back, or are you going to leave the bridge there, Violet?
So I think what I'm actually going to do is as we cross the gantry, I look up and I see this long stairway. And I'm not sure it matters much whether or not we live the bridge here, because they're just going to call people, our pursuers will call people and shoot at us. So I'm going to turn back around now that I'm on the other side, and I'm going to eye the exit to the tunnel. And I'm going to do a trick shot to see if I can't collapse over the tunnel so that they'll have to dig through to get to us.
Brilliant, brilliant. So this is, I think, I'm seeing take action. I'm seeing this is absolutely in performer country. And I think this is using your rifle. So I'm seeing 7 dice. I think the difficulty is, I got to make the difficulty 4, I think. I'm struggling to see it, make it less than that.
I'll add a spark to make it an even 8, and let's see what that looks like.
I'm wondering if Jack can spot, or Ernesto, Jack. I'm wondering if Jack can kind of say, there's a fissure. Do you see that fissure?
Yeah, like there's the weak point, target right there.
How many spark do you want to put into that, Jack?
Let's say 2.
10 dice, 4 successes.
Okay, let's see what that looks like. Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes, but
4 oofs. Yep.
And what this has to do is to, yes, you achieve it. You block that. They are not going to come after you. But I think as it begins to shuffle down, your side of the crevasse is destabilized. And suddenly the staircase goes as some of its anchor points are brought loose. But I think, yeah, you are currently down. I think this is dangerous enough because each of you is going to have to make a roll to get to the top of there before it comes down. I'm going to put the Daredevil in the lead because not least they think they've got a plan. But this could work for you. The difficulty of getting this glacier to collapse now is reduced, Jack, because it's already unstable. So Jack, can you find the safe way up and guide the others? Take action. Daredevil. Inventor, make the case.
I think if I find a way to do it with some unexpected tool, it will be inventory.
It would. And I think probably, what does that look like? What do we see you doing?
I think so. Back when we were in the subway, I happened to pick up some sort of like large bolt used for attaching subway tracks. And so I find a way to I sort of scramble halfway up these leaning stairs and find a way to temporarily re-anchor them.
Brilliant, which I think means that we're looking therefore at 5 plus tools gets you to 8. And I'm looking for 4 successes.
All right, I'm going to throw in 1 more spark.
9. I'm not asking anybody else about spark, I'll be honest with you.
All right.
9 dice, 4 successes. One, 2, 3. Oh no, it's only 3 successes and 3 oofs.
Yikes.
You bolt it in, but what it does is it loosens some of the other, and so all of you are on this zigzag as they, and now you have to clamber up the side of this to get to the top. Each of you is going to, I think we're going to get to the top with Ernesto down, and I think you are going to have 1 spark, Jack. Yeah?
Sounds
Oh
good.
my God. Is this a chance to renew some spark? Is there anything that we can do?
Absolutely. And I mean, even also like from a cinematical point of view, it's like this is the exact moment where Ernesto has to ask Violet and like being afraid that he's not gonna make it home. He's asked, so tell me, what is there anything? No, what are you gonna do when we're back home?
And I think we see a kind of a flashback of her as a kid, like going out, and we see her with the gun, with the sharpshooter and everything, and then it zooms out and we see these grassy plains, and she's like, I'm going to go home for a while.
Ernesto, gain 3 spark. Violet, do you want to come back with any kind of interesting question?
What do you think about, you could come out and visit my home as well. What's home like for you? Where do you feel most at home?
For me, home is where the books are. I've always been on the road. Like my family, my dad was an engineer, and we traveled to all the countries. Like I've been to Germany even once. That's where I learned the first few words of it. They had some fantastic engineering back in the days before this ideology thing started with them. So I would love to come join you, but I'm afraid I'm not a friend of the Great Plains.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of book learning out there. But there might be a good opportunity to write a book. So we'll talk about that later.
And so as you've been clambering up on this teetering structure, you also get 3 for that, getting that intimate response, that response to that quite probing question to Ernesto. Jack, is this a time when you want to tell us what your greatest fear is? I'm just curious if somebody might want to ask.
What could you ever be afraid of? I mean, we're talking about Jack, I can't believe that you're scaling and taking these chances on this platform.
Well,
Are you
somebody's
sure
got
you
to
have
do
this
it.
under control?
I'm sure it'll be fine. It has to be.
Do you ask the question, Violet? Do you ask Jack what they're frightened of?
I think so, yeah.
What is your greatest fear, Jack?
My greatest fear is that I will lose someone and it will be my fault.
Oh, right. Okay. So failure, the risk of failure. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to use that straight away. By putting all the pressure on Jack. It was 4 to get up here before. Now it's 5. Oh, Jack, give yourself 4 spark for revealing your greatest fear. Difficulty is 5. This is positively daredevilish, taking action. I think now it's probably about agility rather than tools, because that didn't come off. I'm struggling to see Inventor now.
Yeah, I think I'm just making a break for it.
Yeah, you're just trying to kind of help them get up
Yes.
to the top. And you're all now within about 10 feet of the top. Yeah. And I think that you're looking at 6 dice, 5 successes. How much spark? Ernesto, is there anything you can do to help Jack get to the top, get you all to the top?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. But the only thing I can come up with is being of moral support, and hold on to one of the cracks, and I open my Parker and I pull out like a map with like all kinds of blueprints in it, and I say,
Nice.
"Don't you worry, we already accomplished our mission," and I just like put it back.
How much spark do you want to put into that?
I mean, yeah, 2.
Right. So we're now at 8 dice. Go this way. 8 dice. 5 successes.
I'm gonna throw
Violet,
3 of
is
my
there
own spark.
anything you think you could do that could help?
Yeah, I think we see Jack reach up to that next handhold, and Violet reaches out and grabs a hold of the arm and is like, "Wait a second. There's a weakness there," and she has spotted this crack in the thing that he was going to grab a hold of, and adjusts the grip over to another place that's more stable, and we see that little piece kind of fall away.
And that gives us an
Nice.
opportunity to see how deep this crevasse is as it tumbles into the blue blackness below. How much do you want to spend on that?
I'll spend 2.
10 dice. 5
I'm gonna throw in
successes.
2 of my own spark.
12 dice. Oh my God. The thing about this mechanism is that because the more dice you have, the longer it takes to highlight them, the more tense it gets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes and a lot of 6s. Narrate how awesome this looks, Jack, as everyone gets to the top of the glacier.
All right, so the this place where the staircase used to be opens out onto like this door that you sort of have to like throw out onto the top. And so sort of throw that open, give Ernesto a hand, a boost to climb up, and then Violet, and then we all scramble out through this door just as the remains of the staircase fall beneath my feet into the crevasse.
And of course, those that have tunneled through the snowfall and have been clambering up after you into the dark deep depths of the crevasse. And this is the time, I think, when we cut to, the sound of zeppelin rotors and, coming up over the edge of the glacier. In its glass nose, we see our ace reporter. There is Rosy. Standing beside her, clutching her shoulder, is Anna Griffith. Now you just have to destroy this. But what's good, Jack, is that all of these failures of yours have led to the structure getting less and less, solid. So, what is the final plan to bring this down, Jack? What do we see?
So with this glacier half collapsed, there's only like, it's like one step from total collapse. There's
montage, white pocket Nazis rushing about as ice begins to sift down from tunnel tops. Carry on.
So I think I have my various drilling equipment and stuff, and I start to set it up, and then I look around, and like the only thing left standing here is like one set of like metal pipes that have been fitted into the glacier. So I just put all the stuff down except like one wrench, and I go over and just start unscrewing this pipe.
Lovely. Just open. Maybe it's some wheel that you need to open to or close to cause some overheat. Who knows? But it's all down to that large red wheel, that valve in that pipe. So I am seeing take action. This sounds rather less daredevilish than everything else. So I think it's 2 for that. I think the Inventor gives you another 2. I think this is probably tools to make this work, because you're right, there has to be a wrench involved. 7 dice, 4 successes.
I'm gonna throw in a couple of spark.
Ernesto?
Yeah, I will throw in a spark, and I'll go.
I'll tell you now, this is the last roll of the night.
Yeah, So yeah, I only got 2 sparks, so I'm spending 1, and I think we need some a bit like a comedic or like heroic aspect to it, and I'll just say, wait a second, and all of a sudden you can see that like Ernesto is feeling like real comfy with like physical exercise, and he runs towards the zeppelin while everything is going on, and just before like Jack has finished its work, he comes back with a gramophone and with the newest kind of swing whatever song, because he knows theoretically the sound waves could like be transported through those pipes and like lead to vibrations even further down the glacier.
I'm seeing one of those horn gramophones with the horn now focused down on the ice. Okay, so I think that gets to 8 dice with that spark. Violet, is there anything you could do or that you want to do?
Yeah, so I think that Violet's going to rush up and see where you're, working that wheel and working the wrench and everything. And Violet's gonna shove the butt of her rifle in and use it kind of as a wedge so that we can get it, keep it turning past that tough spot.
Spend a spark, that's 9 dice. Back to you, Jack.
I'm going to throw in 3 of my own spark.
Okay, so we are at 10, 11, 12 dice, 4 successes because the structure is weakened. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes, 2 oofs. I think I'll narrate that oof as the pipe begins to overheat and you get blasted by maybe some steam out of that, which will cost you a spark, Jack. But all of you can hear the rumble, and the rumble begins to establish a kind of harmonic rhythm with whatever record is playing. I think the irony would be great if this was Ride of the Valkyries, actually, that it's going to be brought down by the rhythm of Ride of the Valkyries. And it's also more likely to be a record that was on board that Zeppelin. And rushing back onto the Zeppelin, as we see Rosy pulling up on this kind of control stick, and the Zeppelin kind of rises up above, so we get this perfect view. Tell me something we see from that view, Jack, looking down on this glacier. What does it look like? Jack, over to you.
So we're in the Zeppelin now?
You're in the Zeppelin, pulling up. You're in the glass nose of the Zeppelin, looking down at this. Tell me something we see down below.
So we see as the face of the glacier is sliding away, a couple of the portal rooms, the bare portal is now just sitting exposed to the air.
Oh, yes. Yes. I love it. Violet, tell me something else we see or hear.
I think from that we see some of the scientists and the soldiers are trying to escape this crumbling facility, and they're running towards the portals. And as they run through them, they don't disappear. They just walk through, and they're still on the other side. And you see them like panic. Yeah. And
then slide away. Yeah. Ernesto, tell me something else we see or hear.
Okay, we see Van Adlerhorst.
I was hoping we were going to see Van Adlerhorst.
In his spider skeleton, in his spider exosuit, like climbing up the walls, and then we see the spider with like one fist threatening us, but we can't hear him.
As you pull away into the clouds, I'm going to treat that as our epilogues, if that's okay, because I think that's really neat. But I'd like to add a little epiloguing of my own, if I may. As Rosy, I think probably now Jack is likely to be taking over the controls, because I think you are the more able tool user, pulling up into the clouds, because it's been just this kind of single dull gray-white overcast, and you're trying to get up above that level. And Violet, you see something moving through the clouds, and it's flying closer to you, a really big bird flying closer to you, and then it wheels away just in front of the bubble nose, and it's a pterodactyl. And as you break free of the clouds, you realize that you were in the hollow earth. Couldn't resist it. If you've got a few minutes just for a quick stars and wishes, or roses and thorns, give it a one shot, I'd be grateful. Let me start with Mario. Mario, any stars, roses?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had so much fun playing this like rather lighthearted action game. I haven't done that in such a long time. I feel I've been more into like trophy dark stuff and like Brindlewood Bay. So this was such a nice change of tone. And I just loved all the characters. They were like such wonderful archetypes of their yeah. And I mean, it was a surprising amount of creative build-up on top of like the answers of the others. So that I had so much fun. Yeah.
Good. What about you, Stephen? Any roses?
I was really surprised, not surprised, but I was really pleased with how all the characters came together. They had very unique choices and still seemed to be very effective in, telling the story and being, very pulpy. I love pulp. It's fantastic. And I loved seeing all the action that we saw with, the professor and with the MacGyver. It was just great.
Yeah, I would endorse all of that. Finally, Gray, any roses, anything that stood out for you that you think, oh, that was good?
Yeah, I had a great time. I really liked seeing how we all embodied characters that really used their skills and backgrounds in fun and unique ways.
Yeah, I mean, I would endorse that. I think that the way that each of you kind of coming to a game that you don't necessarily know the mechanics of, but you quickly began to see how the narrative descriptions of what you were wanting to do, you were kind of leveraging where those dice were, and that was great. I really enjoyed that. So good for you. And I just loved the creation. If he was here, I'd thank him for reintroducing Hauptmann Haas, a recurring villain, it turns out. And yeah, so thank you all for your contributions. In terms of thorns, better if, Mario?
That is hard. I would need to play or run a few more sessions to be like real sure about the spark die pool kind of mechanics. But that is just like I'm trying to design like trophy dark stuff. So like the dice balance is always something that is I'm struggling with myself. So that is always something I'm over questioning, I guess. And I think it was tonally perfectly right for like pulp action, because we really wanted to succeed, to have this like great heroic slapstick moments. It's just like as a game in a long-term run, I'm not sure, because you really can do the math behind it, and
I don't think it's ever going to be a series. I'll be honest with you. I think that in the original game, in Rich's original Hit the Streets, Defend the Block, I think the creation of the neighborhood gives you many more relationships to explore. And that's not what this is about, I think. Stephen, better if?
So it's a struggle to figure out what's going on. So in thinking about it, I noticed that a couple of times when we went to regenerate spark, it seemed like it took us out of the action in order to have some downtime. Now, to be honest, it worked beautifully in my mind whenever we had the option to do that. The villain with Orville, I really loved that mechanic and that part. It's almost as if though, and there is a need to have that economy of spark going on. It's almost as if there needs to be a action way to gain spark back. Like maybe you get it on a 6, or maybe you get a spark if you succeed by a certain amount.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because while the little interludes to have the conversation about stuff is really nice, it doesn't really fit when you're halfway up a gantry on the side of a glacier.
But on the other hand, to be honest, I'll give a thorn to my wish just now, which is, on the other hand, it takes away some of that tension. Whenever you have 1 spark or 0 spark, it feels very tense.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to balance that, but
no, I think it's a fair point. I'm not sure I've got any solution to that other than maybe making it too easy to get spark in a way. Don't know. I'm going to give it some thought though, because when Rich and I had a back and forth the first time I tried to put this together, his concern was it was too easy to get spark, so I made it slightly more difficult. Gray, better if?
I don't have anything specific. I think following up on that conversation, I do like that the spark refresh mechanic pushes the character development a little bit, and the characters to like have relationships with each other in addition to the action.
I think the challenge is in a pulp setting, the space for that tends to be while you're swinging on something. So that's a tricky one. Okay.
So I have a question, or I have a suggestion. What if there was a flashback mechanic to get spark back? So as you're in the middle of swinging or you're in a dire situation, then you can call for a flashback scene that amps up the tension, because you don't know what this, the tension is still there in the background, but you have a flashback that shows, you as a kid or your motivation or something like that, and maybe have a pull down of like, your flashback scene is about, and something unique to each of the different archetypes.
Clever.
Like the crown mechanics in Brindlewood Bay, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially it.
Yeah. Exactly. And even more sharply delineated in the between. I've written down between ? Thank you for that. My only thought is I'd like to see how these guys are going to get out the Hollow Earth. But I'm going to stop the recording there.